Chapter 1. The 43rd year of Konoha. At this time, inside the ninja school. The test teacher holding the notebook nodded with satisfaction. Name, Hitaki Kakashi Ninjutsu 10 physical skills, 10 shuriken, 10 overall evaluation, excellent. As the test teacher announced the result, the children who were taking the entrance test were suddenly amazed. Even the adults who were watching couldn't help but sigh. Amid the screams, Kakashi walked out with dead eyes and his chest crossed. Next, Might Guy. As the test teacher shouted, Might Guy, wearing a red scarf and green tights, nervously asked Might Guy beside him, Dad, can I enter the ninja school this time? Son, you can do it. Might Guy, wearing a yellow scarf, gave his son a thumbs up and said something encouraging. 5 minutes later. Name Might Guy Ninjutsu 1 physical skills, 5 shuriken 4 overall evaluation. Poor faced with such results, Might Guy looked discouraged. Dad, I. Don't be discouraged, Akai. When the list is announced, you will definitely be on it. Dad believes in you. My son is the best. Might Guy patted Might Guy's shoulder encouragingly, hugged his son and comforted him. Next, Li Chuan. As the test teacher's voice sounded. At the edge of the playground, a lazy and handsome little boy stretched. Come on, Li Chuan. Yahai Kurane, with red pupils, sits on the railing. He shook his chubby little legs and clenched his fists in encouragement. Li Chuan, you will definitely pass the test of the ninja school. Nohara Lin, with 2 smears of paint on her face, also smiled sweetly at this moment. Not far away. Asuma Sarutobi and Uchiha Obito's faces turned dark. Although they are all 5 or 6 years old, the feelings between them are the most direct. Who can be happy when the girl you like is cheering for someone else? If I had known this would happen, I should not have let Li Chuan become their playmate. On the side, several parents had smiles on their faces. As for children, it is actually good to have a happy childhood. But after today, I'm afraid. Just when Asuma Sarutobi and Obito were about to step forward and cause trouble for Li Chuan, the test teacher's voice sounded again. Li Chuan, hurry up. Here it comes, here it comes. Wearing a short-sleeved shirt and shorts, with his hands behind his head, Li Chuan came to the testing site board. Although Li Chuan is a native of this world, but his soul comes from the 21st century. Today, it has been 5 years since he traveled to the Hokage world. As an anime fan, he has a fairly good understanding of the Hokage world. And after these 5 years, Li Chuan also knew his background. The child of an ordinary genin couple. Not from a famous family, no family blood, and no plug-ins. So in order to have a happy life in the future, Li Chuan started to get in touch with some special characters among the Hokage early on. For example, Nohara Rin, Yahai Kurane, Shizuan, and so on. What made him feel pity was that he had never had contact with Sister Tsunade. But Li Chuan understood that after today, he might have to say goodbye to these people completely. Because a long time ago, Li Chuan was told by his parents that he also had nothing. Chakra. Since she couldn't become a ninja and wanted to marry into another family, none of the major families in Konoha village would accept her. In terms of physical talent, he is not as good as Might Guy. Li Chuan cannot access advanced things like genjutsu. So he didn't know what his genjutsu talent was like. In fact, Li Chuan is now ready to give up. This time I came to the ninja school purely to try my luck. Your parents taught you the basics of ninjutsu, right? The test teacher looked at Li Chuan, who looked indifferent, and flipped through the documents in his hand in surprise. Born on November 27th in the 37th year of Konoha. At most, she is only 5 years old. Why does she look so old? Teacher, I don't have chakra. With a shy smile, Li Chuan put down his hands which were on the back of his head. The test teacher's eyelids twitched and he curled his lips in disdain. Another child from an ordinary family. Ninjutsu 0 minutes, then let's do the taijutsu test, Akamika-sensei, please. After the test teacher wrote down the record, he looked at another test teacher, Akamichi Choza. Come on, little guy, punch me in the stomach. Akamichi Choza smiled kindly. This time, Li Chuan took it seriously. He got into a full stance and threw a punch. However, Akamichi Dingzuo shook his head. Physical skills, 4 points. Originally, Akamichi Choza thought that since he could play with Ui Makahara's daughter, he must have some talent. But this kid is not even as good as Might Guy. Unable to enter the ninja school, this little guy might be drifting away from his childhood playmates. Then, Akamichi called another teacher. Soon, the test was over. Shuriken, 3 points overall evaluation. Poor as if he had anticipated this, Li Chuan left the playground and avoided Nohara Lin who was chasing him. As for Yahai Kurane, he was stopped by his father, Ui Shinku. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Li Chuan smiled self-deprecatingly. It was exactly what he expected. But, after all, I feel a little unwilling. Might Guy has his father to comfort him. But his parents were outside, carrying out their mission. There is no one to comfort me. Ding, host, the gift from Mother Earth has arrived, the lottery system is bound, and the novice gift package is being opened. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a skill, one of the 8 wonders, the red hand of the double hand. Current proficiency, beginner note, proficiency is divided into 5 levels. The sudden appearance of the translucent panel in front of him and the sound in his ear scared Li Chuan. Has your cheat finally arrived? But isn't it too late? The entrance exam is over, and the system is just coming. Late but arrived, that's not the way to say it, right? After studying for a long time, Li Chuan has figured out how to use this system. You can participate in the lottery by spending money, and through the lottery, you can get all kinds of mysterious things. At the same time, Li Chuan discovered that a strange energy had appeared in his body. Based on the system description, he immediately understood. The energy of the human body, Qi, is a highly concentrated form of essence, energy, and spirit. This thing seems to be more advanced than Chakra. With excitement in his eyes, Li Chuan, who had already returned home, immediately looked at the first skill he had acquired. The red hand is one of the 2 perfect hands. It's a world of one person, Li Chuan naturally knows it. The 8 wonderful skills are the most advanced skills in one person's world. As one of them, the double hand is a magical skill that controls the concepts of life and death. The blue hand controls the soul, the red hand controls the body. With this skill in the lottery system, Li Chuan is no longer depressed. What is the most lacking thing in the Hokage world? It's a wounded person. With his red hand's ability, how could he be short of money in the future? Once you have money, winning the lottery will be easy. Moreover, the abilities of Shuangchuan hands are far more than just curing illnesses and saving lives. This skill can even regenerate severed limbs. What about increasing body strength? Make your body invulnerable to swords and guns. Although the operation is difficult, the possibility is great. Moreover, he can also try to modify the meridians in his body to make it easier for him to practice martial arts. Even the red hand can be used as a means of attack. What would it be like to cause the enemy's bones to shatter and deform, and their flesh to disintegrate during a battle? You know, both hands can control the body. It doesn't make sense that you can only cure it and not make it worse. Also, he remembered that in a world of one person, the ultimate goal was to become an immortal. Doesn't that mean he also has a chance to become an immortal? The more Li Chuan thought about it, the brighter his eyes became, but then he started thinking about another thing. I'd better join the ninja school now, otherwise it will be difficult to explain the source of this ability. Hehe, after joining the school, I won't have to be separated from Hong and the others. But how can I get into the school? Oh, by the way, the school has supplementary admissions. I still have a chance. New book, please give me a gift, please urge me to update, please pay attention, thank you. Chapter 2. After figuring out his next goal, Li Chuan prepared to combine his own conjectures to study the abilities of the Shuangchuan hand. The development of skills depends on cognition. Although this is somewhat similar to the idea of a certain master. But the skill itself must have potential. If it eventually turns into something else, it is no longer the ability of the skill itself. That's just adding various plugins. But the hands are different. This skill is a conceptual magical skill. The so-called life and death. S*X refers to the Tao within the human body. Such as human Qi, spirit, soul, will and so on. Fate refers to the external Tao of the human body. It is all visible physiological tissues of the human body. Generally speaking, all living things can be included. But now, these are still too far away from me. Collecting his thoughts, Li Chuan stood up and walked to the mirror. Looking at his very handsome face, he nodded with satisfaction. This face is the thing that makes him most satisfied since he came to the Hokage world. But no one knew that his face was disguised by his ninja parents. Li Chuan was born during the Second Ninja War. His parents had been in other villages, doing spy missions. He was sent back to Konoha village only after he was born. But during this period, a hideous scar was left on his face. But because of the disguise of the ninja tools, no one noticed it. After taking off the mask, a scar extending from the left eye to the right jaw appeared in the mirror. Even though he was prepared, his heart still tightened. To be honest, if he had not been a very optimistic person in his previous life, he would have gone crazy long ago. According to his previous idea, he planned to save money and rely on medical ninjutsu for repair after he grew up. But this amount of money is not a small amount. With his genin parents' income, they simply couldn't afford it. So his parents are still out there doing dangerous spy missions. But now, it's completely different. The plug-in has arrived, so why spend money? He now intends to use all the money for lottery. Finally, I don't have to carry this errand car anymore. With a sigh, Li Chuan raised his right hand. In an instant, he felt a strange power starting to operate in his body. Then, a red light appeared on his right hand. Then, Li Chuan fell silent. A little embarrassing, he didn't know how to use it. Moreover, in his perception, the energy in his body was being consumed rapidly. I think it won't be long before it runs out. Can it be used just based on the idea? Just fix your face, at least you still have a mask. And if you try a few more times, it will eventually be cured. Thinking of this, he immediately put his right hand on his face. As the energy covered him, Li Chuan felt his cheeks start to get hot. The tingling and numb feeling kept coming. There is a tingling sensation from time to time. At the same time, the qi in his body was constantly being consumed. In just a dozen seconds, about 10% of the qi in his body was consumed. But in Li Quan's eyes, in the mirror, the scar on his cheek was healing rapidly. After another 10 seconds, he lowered his hand. Looking in the mirror, at the extremely handsome face at such a young age, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. The ability of these hands is simply a bug. Li Chuan looked at his right hand with emotion, and was so excited that he could hardly contain himself. It was not only because he healed the scar on his face, but more importantly, he discovered something. He only needs to use his mind to stimulate the circulation of qi and his hands will automatically repair their injuries. He doesn't need any medical skills at all. Li Quan can only say one thing about this. System products must be top quality. But the qi in my body seems to be consumed too quickly, right? In his perception, about 30% of his qi was consumed just to treat the injuries on his face. So how should he recover next? After the experiment just now, Li Quan knew that Zhuangchuan hand was activated by qi. Without qi, the experiment will have to end. System, is there a property panel? Open it and let me see. Seeing the light screen suddenly appearing in front of him, Li Quan looked over immediately. Name, Li Quan. Age, 5 years old. Realm, Vajra realm, the first of the 3 realms of acquired nature. Skill, red hand, entry-level proficiency. Total amount of qi, water in the cup. Lottery, the more money you have, the richer the rewards. The minimum requirement is 5,000 taels. It's a bit too simple, but he likes it. The simpler it is, the more convenient it is to use. But why didn't he have any impression of this realm, the Vajra realm? By the way, in this one-person world, there is no clear division of realms. Me is a jerk who only digs holes but never fills them. After complaining a few words, Li Quan touched the tip of his nose and smacked his lips out of habit. The conditions for the lottery are a bit harsh. 5,000 ryo is the lowest reward for a D-rank mission in the Hokage world. D-level missions are not dangerous, but you need to become a genin to accept them. Now, the ninja team system has been implemented. Even if you become a ninja, you need to share the mission rewards with others. In other words, you have to complete at least 4 tasks before you can draw the lowest level reward. And now, he urgently needs to win the lottery to obtain the method of practicing qi. This allows you to use the abilities of both hands more often. Otherwise, this magical skill of double hands is just useless. According to his feeling, the qi in his body can heal injuries like the one on his face 3 times at most. If you want to achieve the regeneration of severed limbs, or even the restoration of human flesh and bones, you still have a long way to go. Suddenly, there was joy in Li Quan's eyes. Qi recovers so quickly. In his opinion, the qi in his body had automatically recovered to 80%. It had only been a few minutes since he used his full hands, right? So he continued his experiment. Finally, Li Quan came to a conclusion. In 1 hour, the qi can be fully restored. Doesn't that mean that in about an hour, he can use his full hands to heal injuries 3 times? Then, Li Quan strengthened his body according to his previous guess. Haha, it's done, I've done it, Taoist. With the first success, Li Quan could clearly feel that his body had become stronger. The strength seems to have increased a lot. Red Hand's ability is simply a magical skill for body training. However, after each body training, the qi in his body would be directly exhausted. 3 hours later, when he was preparing to strengthen his body for the 4th time, Li Quan was surprised to find that the qi in his body was not enough. With my current qi, will it reach its limit after 3 times? Muttering to himself. Gurgle, his stomach suddenly rumbled. I looked at the time and it was already past 4 p.m. Li Quan got up and left the room. Since his parents were away on missions, he, a left-behind child, naturally received special care. His monthly allowance was 1,000 taels. And his parents also left him money. He now has about 1,500 taels on hand. Li Quan is in a very mixed mood today, so he is ready to spend some money and have a good meal. To be honest, if his generation had not experienced the Second Ninja War, they would have matured precociously. His parents would not leave the money for him to squander. Just as Li Quan was heading to Ichiraku Ramen, he passed by the entrance of the ninja school. Look, the admission list for the ninja school is out. At the same time, a voice sounded in Li Quan's mind. Mission opening, join ninja school. Task reward, 10 years of skill, equivalent to the total amount of qi, water in the bottle. New book, please give me a gift, please urge me to update, please comment, please follow me, thank you. Chapter 3. Join ninja school? Post tasks as you wish, the system is good. By the way, system, is there any difference between the water in the cup and the water in the bottle? Looking at the text that appeared synchronously on the panel, Li Quan asked the questions in his mind with his mind. The water in the cup is the basic cultivation unit. It is the sum of the qi in the body of an ordinary person who has cultivated for 5 years. The water in the bottle is twice as much as the water in the cup. Ouch. By joining the school, the amount of qi in your body will triple. I can use my red hands to train my body again. Healing can also be increased to 9 times. Li Quan likes this task. Just as Li Quan was happy, he saw Might Guy, who was sitting on Might Guy's back and looking at the admission list over and over again in front of the posted list. This blue beast of Konoha's future, this passionate man who almost kicked out the Hokage in the finale. Now he is just a child. But now, I'm afraid Might Guy will be disappointed. It seems that in the original story of Hokage, when Might Guy entered school, he was not admitted directly, but was admitted afterwards. Re-recording, what the hell? He is now worried about how to make up the recording. It seems that we can find some clues from Might Guy. Li Quan, you are here. Suddenly, a gentle voice came from not far away. Li Quan was naturally familiar with this voice. No Harolin. Don't look at it, your name isn't on it. On the side, Uchiha Obito said something bluntly. Obito, stop talking nonsense. Nohara Lin quickly blocked Uchiha Obito's mouth and smiled awkwardly at Li Quan. But at this moment, Obito's eyes were full of resentment. Lin is the girl he likes. He knew that Li Quan was not admitted, and he must be upset. Although Kellen took Li Quan's feelings into consideration, he just felt dissatisfied. Hey, jerk, why does Li Quan look so handsome again? Noticing the shyness in Nohara Lin's eyes, Obito felt like he was about to explode. But when he thought that they were still friends, he instantly lost his temper. Just this once, let Lin comfort this BD. It's okay, Lin. I want to be the Hokage's man. This little setback won't defeat me. On the side, Li Quan said with full confidence. But Li Quan himself became embarrassed. It's really childish. But without this character, it would be difficult for him to join the ninja school later. How could a child without the will of fire and without any dreams catch the eye of Sarutobi Hiruzen? This third Hokage is famous for his clever tactics. Even Hotaki Sakumo, who was known as the White Fang of Konoha, could be forced to commit suicide through public opinion. What's more, he is a child whose parents are away from home. Haha, you didn't even pass the entrance exam, why are you so proud? Asuma Sarutobi's voice suddenly came. And Li Quan also turned his head at this moment. Yahai Kurane followed behind Asuma, turning his head away with a guilty look on his face. In the morning, her father, Yui Shinku, had already told her the identity of Sarutobi Azuma. To be honest, Yahai Kurane is a carefree child. But her father asked her to spend more time with Asuma and keep a distance from Li Quan. It was really hard for her to refuse her father's words. But Li Quan is really handsome now. Looks more handsome than before. Bang bang bang, her heartbeat kept getting faster and faster, and Hong suddenly felt that her father's instructions didn't seem so important anymore. Asuma, there is still a chance for supplementary admission. I will definitely join the school. On the side, Li Quan responded unconvinced. Are you kidding? As a time traveler, how could he possibly get angry with a group of kids? But he is still a child now, and he always has to behave in a way that is appropriate for his age. Now, he is preparing to create an image of a hardworking and motivated little boy with the will of fire. In his impression, Might Guy's supplementary enrollment did not seem to involve any exams. Since there is no test experience, it is very likely that he relies on previous test results and secret observations. Maybe the third generation is watching these children somewhere right now. Haha, you don't have a chance. My father said that the chance to make up the admission is reserved for children with other talents. At this moment, Asuma Sarutobi burst into laughter. Without even chakra, I can't use ninjutsu and genjutsu. Your physical talent is not even as good as that disgusting guy Might Guy. How can you pass the supplementary enrollment? He curled his lips in disdain, his eyes full of pride. I have passed the test of the ninja school. Li Quan can't enter the ninja school, and Hong's gaze will definitely fall on him. Asuma, stop talking. If you keep talking, I won't play with you anymore. Yahai Kurane was obviously unhappy at this moment. My good friend is so annoying now. Li Quan did not enter the ninja school. Isn't Asuma's words exposing Li Quan's scars? Li Quan narrowed his eyes and looked at Asuma angrily. Asuma, when he grew up, was a character he liked very much. But now, he really can't like it. How about giving Asuma Sarutobi a beating now? Forget it, why get angry with a child? Thinking about it, Li Quan shook his head. As long as I want to go, the road is right under my feet. Asuma, I will definitely enter the ninja school, for sure. He said this firmly, and his stomach began to growl again. So, he extended an invitation to Nohara Rin, Obito and Yahai Kurane. Let's go to Uncle Han's shop. I'll treat you. Okay. Uchiha Obito jumped up and shouted happily. His relationship with Li Quan is pretty good. If it weren't for Lin, he would actually like Li Quan as a friend. Thanks to his childish nature, he has now forgotten his previous unhappiness. But on the side, Asuma Sarutobi looked at Yahai Kurane hopefully. Hong, you're not going, are you? Go ahead. Mr. Li Quan is so generous. I will definitely go. Yahai Kurane nodded and smiled broadly. You're not allowed to go. Asuma Sarutobi shouted with his face flushed. Why? No reason. You are not allowed to go. Standing in front of Yahai Kurane, Sarutobi Asuma glared at Li Quan fiercely. Li Quan, the bad guy. Even Obito, who was the last one, was invited, so why not him? I can treat you too, come with me. He stood firmly in front of Yahai Kurane and said confidently. Then let's go together. Yahai Kurane said helplessly. Li Quan, I want to duel with you. When Asuma Sarutobi heard Yahai Kurane's reply, he immediately got furious. He only wanted to be with Yahai Kurane now. But why does Hong care about Li Quan? Li Quan is just an ordinary genin's child. I am the son of the third Hokage. Is it because Li Quan is prettier than him? He refuses to accept it. Well, Li Quan never expected this result. After the previous test, he didn't want to have any contact with Yahai Kurane and Nohara Rin because of his inferiority complex about not being able to become a ninja. But now that the cheats have been received, why would he care about these? As for inviting Obito, besides Obito's sunny personality. Also, this person is closely related to the main storyline of Hokage. As for Asuma Sarutobi, he simply didn't like him. Asuma, why are you like this? Yahai Kurane frowned. On the side, Obito and Nohara Rin also looked over at this moment. But Li Quan raised his eyebrows and asked, are you sure? Chapter 4. Not far from the ninja school, on a tall building. Sarutobi Shinigami looked at the performance of the children with a serious face. He began to record in the notebook in his hand. As the eldest son of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sarutobi Shinigami often helps his father deal with some complicated chores. This time, he also followed his father's orders to collect intelligence on the new generation of children. The entrance test is just a regular test method. Some talents are good at areas that cannot be detected by entrance tests, such as genjutsu, medical talent, analytical talent, and so on. After experiencing the Second Ninja World War, the village's combat power is now seriously insufficient. To this end, the village has begun to encourage ordinary people to join the ninja school. His current task is to discover those buried good seedlings. Hey, is that Asuma? With my brother's temper, that little guy might suffer. Looking at Li Quan and others in surprise, Sarutobi Shinigami checked the information in his hand. In front of the ninja school, Sarutobi Asuma looked indignant, rubbing his fists and saying, Li Quan, I'm in a bad mood today, so you're done. Asuma is not that guy named Might Guy. As the son of the third Hokage and a member of the Sarutobi clan, since he was a child, he had teachers who taught him ninjutsu, taijutsu and genjutsu. Although his talent in genjutsu was not that good. But this time when he passed the entrance test, his overall evaluation was average. Isn't it easy to beat up Li Quan who failed the entrance exam? Hehe, Li Quan was humiliated by himself, and Na Hong will definitely be attracted by his handsome appearance. Li Quan, don't agree to him, let's go. Just as Asuma was daydreaming, No Harolin frowned and pulled Li Quan's arm. That's right, Asuma, you've learned several ninjutsu, what if you hurt Li Quan? Uchiha Obito also said with disdain at this moment. On the side, Yahai Kurane snorted coldly, showing his attitude. Yahai Kurane was helpless at this moment. Before entering school, we were all good friends. How come everything changed after the entrance test? When Asuma Sarutobi saw that Li Quan remained silent for a long time, he immediately laughed arrogantly with his hands on his hips. Haha, are you scared? If you are scared, stay away from Hong. Otherwise, I will beat you up every time I see you. On the side, Li Quan narrowed his eyes, stared at Asuma, and clenched his fists. Li Quan didn't want to get angry with Asuma. But Asuma's current attitude really made him unable to stop. After 3 rounds of body training by Shuang Chuan Xiao, his physical strength has increased significantly. Relying on his adult thinking, he would definitely win in a fight. If he wasn't afraid of Sarutobi Hiruzen, he would have taken action by now. But Li Quan is now thinking about how to better deal with it. After all, Asuma Sarutobi's father is the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. How to fight and what kind of state Asuma will be in is the most important thing. So it's because of me? Sorry, Li Quan, I'd better not go. At this moment, no matter how careless Yahai Kurane was, he reacted. It turns out that all this is because of me. Yahai Kurane's expression stiffened a little. She knows the results of Li Quan's entrance test. Judging from Li Quan's performance, once the fight starts, Li Quan will never be a match for Asuma. It seems that I won't be able to play with Li Quan anymore. No, I'm treating you with great difficulty, Hong must go. Suddenly, Li Quan refused loudly. Just kidding, it would be abnormal if I didn't react at this time. He is just a child now. If he does not react when encountering such a thing, it will be inconsistent with his previous behavior. Once his character collapses, he will probably be in trouble in Konoha village. Looking at Asuma Sarutobi warily, Li Quan clenched his fists. Asuma, you want to fight, right? Okay. But I have a condition. As he said this, he gave Yahai Kurane and the others a reassuring look. If I win, you can't stop Hong from doing anything she wants to do in the future. Okay, I agree. Today I will let you know the difference between you and me. Hearing Li Quan's conditions, Sarutobi Asuma nodded without any hesitation. He is the son of the third Hokage and the bloodline of the Sarutobi clan. How could he lose? But no Harolin and Yahai Kurane became worried. Even Obito, who was standing by, couldn't help but persuade Li Quan. However, Li Quan did not make any concessions, but walked towards the playground where the few people often played. Asuma, this guy, he will definitely beat him up today. Even though you're already cheating, you still let others bully you. Isn't this a joke? Meanwhile, on the street corner, the 2 people wearing fox masks also noticed this scene. These 2 are members of the Root. As Shimura Danzo's subordinates, the 2 have the same goals as Sarutobi Shinigami. They are all to explore the good seedlings of this year's ninja school and absorb them into the roots. However, the object of their loyalty is Shimura Danzo. After discovering this, one of the 2 Root members immediately followed. Not long after, Li Quan saw a familiar scene. Might Guy and his son Might Day were hugging and crying on the playground. It seems that Might Guy has already explained to him what self-restraint is. After the 2 left, Li Quan and Asuma Sarutobi immediately started their battle. Li Quan, for Hong's sake, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Asuma Sarutobi sensed the chakra in his body and continued, admit defeat now, stay away from Hong in the future, and forget about it this time. Otherwise I won't hold back today. Hehe. Li Quan sneered and took a step forward instantly. To put it simply, physical skills are close combat. It combines speed, strength, reaction ability, and so on. In the past, there was a saying that the only martial arts in the world that cannot be defeated is speed. It still works in the Hokage world. When Li Quan started, Sarutobi Asuma was suddenly startled. In Asuma Sarutobi's eyes, Quan's speed was so fast that he almost couldn't react. However, he did not panic. He immediately took out a kunao and stabbed it at Quan's right arm. Seeing Asuma actually took out a kunao, Quan immediately became angry. A set of good quality shurikens is very expensive. And this was a fight between kids. Asuma actually used weapons? Isn't this bullying honest people? So this is the difference between him and Asuma. For a moment, he no longer had any burden about what he was going to do next. But then, Quan was surprised to find that Sarutobi Asuma's speed was a little slow in his eyes. With a turn, he perfectly dodged the kunao attack. Immediately afterwards, Quan swept Asuma to the ground with a kick. Bang! With a dull thud, Asuma Sarutobi's body instantly raised a cloud of dust. Quan, on the other hand, took advantage of the situation and rode on Asuma's body. How could Quan allow Asuma to use ninjutsu? Since this guy is using weapons directly, he has no martial ethics. Bang bang bang, a series of punches hit Asuma Sarutobi directly in the face. And Asuma Sarutobi immediately wailed in pain. Quan, get out of the way. Let me go if you dare, ouch, it hurts. Quan, I was wrong. Not far away, Sarutobi Shinigami, who was following, saw this scene and his eyes twitched a few times. How come this is different from the script I expected? Chapter 5. Sarutobi Shinigami really didn't expect this to be the result. Is this something a child with no talent can do? My own brother has at least refined his chakra. With special physical training and comprehensive strength, no matter how you attack, you won't be knocked down in one fight, right? But his brother, Asuma Sarutobi, was beaten by an ordinary kid? FK it. Isn't this against common sense? Something is wrong. How did a guy with a 4-point taijutsu rating suppress his brother with a 6-point taijutsu rating? It looks like this little guy named Quan is suppressing others purely by force. With this kind of strength, how could the physical skill rating be only 4 points? You have to know that the evaluation of physical skills only looks at the strength and the technique of exerting force. Being able to suppress his own brother, this kid's strength should be at least 7 points. Is it that he doesn't have any power generating techniques at all? But now it seems that my younger brother might have to suffer a little. Okay. My younger brother is usually arrogant, so he should just learn a lesson from this. Being bullied by your playmates is better than losing your life on the battlefield. If it was during the Ninja World War a few years ago. With my brother's temper, I'm afraid he won't survive a mission. Quan, this kid, knows how to strike with moderation. It looks like he didn't use his full strength. What is it all about? Doesn't this kid want to be a ninja? With doubt in his eyes, Sarutobi Shinigami shook his head. He couldn't guess what the child was thinking. However, if kids were fighting and he, a ninja, got involved, that would be pure bullying. And he is the son of the 3rd generation. Bullying the weak will damage the reputation of 3rd generation. Besides, ninjas often compete with each other. There is no need to pay attention to such minor incidents. Let Asuma, this kid, suffer for a while. Smiling, he withdrew his gaze and started recording it in his notebook. Quan, the overall evaluation is wrong, it seems that he has deliberately concealed it, or he has awakened a special bloodline limit. The physical test result has been corrected to 8 points. He has the potential to become a ninja. And on the playground. Looking at Asuma Sarutobi being beaten, Uchiha Obito subconsciously turned his head away. Obito was really frightened. When did Quan become so vicious? The sound of the punches hitting each other's flesh made him dare not say another word. This feeling is even scarier than that guy Kakashi. If this hits me. Taking a deep breath, Obito subconsciously took a few steps back. So scary. For a moment, an emotion called fear grew in my heart. However, his body began to tremble with excitement. Quan is so strong. One day, he, Uchiha Obito, will surpass Quan. Even surpass that guy Kakashi and become the next Hokage. But why did Quan, who is so strong, fail the entrance examination? Why is that? After failing to figure it out, Obito simply stopped thinking about it. However, he already had another idea in his mind. Before you become stronger, you must never fight with Quan. Watch Yahai Kurane. At this moment, he was completely attracted by Quan. If I lose the fight, Lin's vision will probably be similar. Obito couldn't accept a world without linear Quan. Stop hitting me. Asuma is already bleeding from the nose. If you keep hitting me, something bad will happen. Suddenly, Nohara Lin exclaimed. Seeing this scene, Lin hurried forward and said as she walked, "We are all friends, don't make things so awkward." But just as Nohara Lin was about to step forward to stop the fight, she was stopped by Yahai Kurane. "Lin, when boys fight, it's better for us girls not to interfere." As he said that, Yahai Kurane looked at Quan and Asuma Sarutobi. In fact, Hong didn't want to be bothered by Asuma anymore. Asuma is not as handsome as Quan, nor as powerful as Quan. Isn't it obvious who to choose? Besides, so what if he is the son of the 3rd generation? She, Yahai Kurane, also has a Nin father. Besides, she is her father's little cotton-padded jacket, and he can't just sell her off, right? Quan, after shaking his fist a few times, stopped with a lack of interest. In fact, Quan had been holding Asuma Sarutobi under him for just over a minute. But in such a short time, he had completely suppressed Asuma. How to say it? After going through 3 rounds of body training with Shuangkanchao, Li Quan's most direct feeling was that his strength had reached the level of an adult. This time, when he beat Asuma Sarutobi, he also wanted to test his own strength. If he wasn't afraid of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd generation, and Asuma was still a child. Li Quan has already used all his strength. Now, Asuma Sarutobi was only beaten black and blue by him. In this case, the 3rd generation probably won't care too much. After all, 3rd generation is a true politician. In order to maintain a good image, there is no need to get angry with him, a left-behind child. Thinking about this, Li Quan dusted himself off and said, Asuma, remember our previous agreement? You can't stop Hong from doing anything in the future. Do you hear me? I don't accept it. Asuma Sarutobi protected his cheek and looked over angrily. Now, his face had several blue and red spots, and he was breathing heavily from time to time. Apparently it hurts enough. But Asuma had a stubborn expression and looked at Li Quan viciously. He is the son of the 3rd generation, how could he lose? He, Asuma Sarutobi, wants to be the pride of the 3rd generation. How could he stop here? Then, Asuma Sarutobi quickly changed his hands and began to form seals. What the hell? Seeing this scene, Li Quan's eyes widened instantly. This guy Asuma Sarutobi actually wanted to use ninjutsu on him. Oh no. Li Quan glanced at the 3 people behind him and rushed over immediately. Isn't this nonsense? There are 3 red men behind him. If Asuma uses ninjutsu, these 3 people will probably get hurt. Get out of the way. After shouting to the 3 people behind him, Li Quan immediately burst out with all his strength. Swish, there was a sudden sound of clothes swaying. Then he raised his hand and punched Asuma in the stomach. However, at the same time, a tall man raised his hand and chopped Asuma's neck directly. Then, Asuma fainted instantly. This scene happened too fast. Li Quan was so fast that he could only barely see what was happening. Behind Li Quan, Obito and the other 2 were completely confused. Oh, I'm so sorry that my brother has caused you so much trouble. The person who came was naturally Sarutobi Shinigami. As the new assistant of J.A. Nin, he noticed something unusual the moment Asuma activated ninjutsu. It's okay to joke around, but if someone dies, that would be troublesome. You guys go play, I'll take my brother home first. Having said that, he dodged a few steps and left the playground. Looking at the departing figure, Li Quan remained silent for a long time. Asuma Sarutobi's brother should be Sarutobi Konohamaru's father, Sarutobi Shinigami. J.A. Nin is quite strong. But now I have a cheat code, I will be able to surpass this guy sooner or later. By the way, it looks like Sarutobi Shinigami has been secretly observing them. That means I should soon be noticed by the 3rd generation. I don't know if I can enter the ninja school with this move. But my last punch might reveal something. A new book has been released. If you like it, please add it to your bookshelf and follow it more often. At the same time, I also beg for rewards, attention, and comments from all readers. Chapter 6. Outside the playground. A man wearing a fox mask left the place quietly. We have learned some information about Li Quan for the time being. However, compared to this child from an ordinary family, other people are more worthy of his attention. Especially the son of Konoha White Fang, Hotaki Kakashi. Apparently, this member of the root did not see the secret of Li Quan's last punch. And as Asuma Sarutobi left, Li Quan and Yahai also left the playground. However, at this moment, the mentality of several people has changed significantly. Li Quan is full of confidence in the future. Although he is not clear now, what are the conditions for supplementary enrollment? But he was not worried about the supplementary recording. After today's incident, the 3rd generation will definitely take notice of him. The final punch to Asuma's stomach would most likely lead to the 3rd generation sending him directly to a ninja school. But it doesn't matter. No matter how shrewd the 3rd generation was, they would never have thought that he was a time traveler. After offending Asuma Sarutobi and joining the ninja school, he could have just laid low for a while. Then I honestly saved money to participate in the lottery, and at the same time used my double-handed exercises to train my body. Even if his name is not on the supplementary admission list this year, he can wait for next year's entrance test. Anyway, there is no specified completion time for the system's tasks. The operability of this is too huge. For a year, I used my hands to train my body. Then by this time next year, he will definitely be able to pass the physical training test. No matter what he does, he won't lose out. On the side, Yahai had a better impression of Li Quan. Li Quan is both handsome and capable. In the face of J.A. Nin, he did not lose confidence, but was optimistic and invited guests. Compared to this, Asuma is far behind. This guy Asuma refused to admit defeat and even wanted to use ninjutsu. Almost got them all implicated. And Uchiha Obito suddenly said goodbye to everyone. Today, Li Quan showed a strength that was beyond his imagination. Although he is from the Uchiha clan. But the results of the test today were completely at the bottom of the clan. If they can't even beat Li Quan, it would be a disgrace to the Uchiha clan. So Obito decided to start practicing immediately. The result is that when we arrived at Ichiraku Ramen, Li Quan only paid for 5 servings of ramen. Lin, you are such a big eater. Looking at the 3 large bowls placed in front of Nohara Lin, Yahai shook his head helplessly. Although it was Li Quan who treated them, Li Quan was not rich. A bowl of ramen cost 60 taels, and Li Quan spent 300 taels on this meal. So how will Li Chuan live next? It's okay, it's okay. I'm happy today. I can eat whatever I want, whatever I want. On the side, Li Chuan smiled and shook his head. 1,200 taels is enough to spend. In fact, Li Quan's budget was 700 taels. The prices in Konoha were not that expensive, and the remaining 800 taels would be enough for him to live for more than a month. Moreover, his subsidy will be received in half a month. As long as you don't go to Ichiraku Ramen and cook your own food, you won't have to worry about it. Besides, being able to eat is a blessing. Even with such a good appetite, I don't know who will be able to feed you in the future. Li Chuan said jokingly, looking at the man who was rubbing his waist and sighing continuously. Hand-beating brother, are you feeling unwell? This name is not wrong. At this time, the boy looked to be about 20 years old and looked extremely energetic. But now, there seems to be something wrong with the way he rubs his waist. Xiao Li, you haven't been here for a long time, right? The hand hit the side and looked over. Then he saw Nohara Rin, who was blushing and drinking soup with her head down. You kid, are you bullying a little girl? Where is that? Li Chuan waved his hands hastily. He was just joking. Like him, Nohara Lin comes from an ordinary family. He can understand that you usually don't want to eat good food, but now you eat a few more portions. However, Lin's appetite is not that big. Compared to Hinata, it's child's play. This is because brother Xiao's cooking is good. Lin likes it so much that she ate 2 more bowls. Haha, kid, I like to hear that. He laughed twice and suddenly started rubbing his waist. Oh, my waist. As he spoke, he slowly walked to an empty seat nearby and sat down. Hey, it's hard to tell you this. He laughed awkwardly twice, waved his hands and said embarrassedly. In the store, several other customers smiled knowingly. Seeing this, Li Chuan nodded in understanding. Brother, do you have a girlfriend? Aren't you too precocious? He let out a surprised sound and glanced at Nohara Lin and Yahai Kurane. Then, he nodded slightly and said, it seems like you are also a playboy. Don't talk nonsense, we are still children. Li Chuan lowered his head guiltily and glanced at Nohara Lin and Yahai Kurane out of the corner of his eye. Although he had this idea, he was also cultivating feelings since childhood. But now, after all, I am still young, only 6, 7 or 8 years old, and it is easy to be blocked. 2. Xiaoda smiled and didn't say much. But this kid knows everything. He will definitely be a nuisance when he grows up. At least these 2 little girls can't escape. On the side, Li Chuan didn't care at all about the look of disbelief from the man typing I'm not a believer. Looking at the hand with a smile, he said temptingly. Brother, I have a way to help you. Do you want to try it? His purpose, of course, was to experiment with his dual abilities. He has only tested the ability of Shuangquanshao to cure diseases and save lives once so far. The sample data is insufficient, and he is not yet proficient in his abilities. It's just right to try again by hand. Don't be silly, you're not a medical ninja. Besides, you just need to rest for a few days for things like this. The hand typed obviously looked unhappy. He simply exerted too much physical energy and sprained his waist. What can a little kid do? Go away, don't talk nonsense about what happened today. Seeing Li Chuan approaching him, he stood up quickly. He felt a little embarrassed talking about this kind of thing with a child. It's a pity for my girlfriend. We probably won't be able to be together for half a month. But when he stood up suddenly. Click, there was a sudden sound when I hit my waist with my hand. This scene immediately made everyone present open their eyes wide. He hit the young man without any restraint. How intense is this? How can the waist be twisted like this? Li Chuan, on the other hand, hurried forward and held his hand to beat him. Hong, Lin, why don't you go back first? I'll help big brother into the house to rest for a while. Let's help together. Nohara Lin wiped the corner of her mouth and smiled sweetly. Yahai Kurane also nodded at this moment. I want to stay, too. As she spoke, Hong glanced at Lin competitively. Although the two didn't quite understand what Li Chuan and Xiaoda were talking about just now. But if they were asked to leave directly, they would not be happy. So the 3 of them beat the man together and helped him into the house. Nohara Lin helped out, and after collecting the bills, she hung up a sign saying the business was temporarily suspended. Brother, let's go first, then. After helping to finish everything, Li Chuan said goodbye and prepared to leave with Yahai Kurane. Since the other party is not happy about it, he naturally won't try to please them. Being able to do this, he has done his best. Hiss, Xiao Li, how about you give it a try? Suddenly, the sound of hand hitting was heard. Chapter 7. Hearing the sound of hand hitting, Li Chuan paused. Then, he turned his head and looked at the man lying on the bed, and said with a wry smile, Brother, I just said it casually, don't take it seriously. He had good intentions before, and wanted to help out because he wanted to try out cheats. But now, he doesn't have much time to think about it. I rejected him once, and now I want him to do it for free? Li Chuan is not so generous. Anyway, if your hand is hit, you can go to the hospital and solve it. But the recovery is very slow. Li Chuan, why don't you give it a try? Standing aside, Nohara Lin felt a little sorry for the painful look on his face as he was beaten. Although she also didn't think that Li Chuan had any ability. But after all, we are neighbors, and we will see each other every day. Lin thought there was nothing wrong in helping to beat up big brother. Hand hitting big brother, let's forget it, Quan was just saying it casually. At the same time, Kurane echoed the sentiment. Hong is a carefree person, but she can see that Li Quan is unhappy. Besides, the three of them have already helped the eldest brother to take care of the shop. You can't force them to stay, right? Ghostly cleverness, you and I don't know. Lying on the bed, he glared at Li Quan with his hands. He and the little guy Li Quan met quite often. When he was 2 or 3 years old, the little guy often came to his shop with his parents. But when he grew up a little, this guy's parents went out to carry out missions. This kid has been smart since he was young. If this kid really has a way to cure himself, he must be thinking about getting some benefits from me now. If there is no other way, then making fun of yourself is actually no big deal. At most it will make a bad impression on you. Anyway, in my current state, I can't continue to run the store. Let's try our best to save the situation. Thinking about it, he continued to speak. Try it. If it works, I'll waive the bill for you today. Even if it can't cure me, it's fine if it can provide some relief. As long as it works, I won't blame you. Hehe, brother Handbeat understands me. Grabbing the right hand that was hit, Li Quan laughed. With the lottery system, how could he possibly go against money? Now, he is very short of money. 300 taels, that's money, right? If you spend frugally, you can save up a chance to win a prize every 4 or 5 months. Glancing at Hong and Lin beside him, Li Quan coughed lightly. Well, my method is not very convenient for girls to know. Hong, Lin, how about you two sit outside first? Why isn't it convenient for girls to know? At this moment, Nohara Lin turned into a curious baby. Kurane directly pulled Nohara Lin out. Mr. Li Quan has already said it is inconvenient, why are there so many reasons? Watching this scene, Li Quan smiled slightly. He was very satisfied to be able to get along with the two of them like this. Seeing the two of them leave, he smiled and said, hand-fighting brother, then I can start now, okay? Good. He nodded with his hand and closed his eyes. What's inconvenient for girls to know? It's obvious that you just don't want others to know. In that case, he didn't plan to watch it anymore. In his opinion, Li Quan was just giving him a massage. What else can a child do? Just as he was thinking, he suddenly felt a sense of relief in his waist. In less than 5 seconds, he could feel his waist recovering from overindulgence. Handbeat big brother, all right. Hearing the sound, Shouda suddenly opened his eyes. Is that all right? Isn't it too fast? Hiss, it seems to be really healed. At night, Ichiraku Ramen restaurant reopened. This scene really attracted many people. My waist has been feeling uncomfortable these past 2 days, and all my old customers know about it. Especially in the afternoon, we closed the door to visitors for a while. But now he is alive and well, without any abnormality at all. That spirit is so great. How does this look like a person with a back injury? What method was used to heal the injury so quickly? Is there any special healing method for manual acupuncture? Or is there someone in the village who has this mysterious healing method? Hey, hand beating, how did you get better? Can you tell me? In front of the stall, Jiraiya, a man with white hair and the word oil written on his forehead, looked over with a smirk on his face. That look is an expression that all men understand. Next to Jiraiya, Orochimaru, who had a melancholy look on his face and an expression that said keep away from strangers, also cast a curious look at him at this moment. Recently, he encountered a bottleneck while studying Hashirama's cells. So, he has been looking for various methods recently. The current situation really made him curious. If this method of recovering the body so quickly could be used in the research of Hashirama's cells, who knows, he might achieve results soon. The most curious person is naturally Senju Tsunade. As a medical ninja, Tsunade attaches great importance to medical methods. Together with his lover and younger brother, they died in the Second Ninja World War not long ago. Tsunade attaches great importance to methods that can provide quick treatment. If this method of treating hand injuries can be used to treat other injuries, it will become popular earlier. Then her lover Kato Dan and her brother Senju Naoki would not have died in the war. Feeling the inquiring gazes of the 3 people, Shouda just smiled mysteriously. Li Quan, that kid, doesn't want others to know. As he had received a favor, he naturally would not spread it around. After all, Shouda had made an appointment with Li Quan. If he has any problems with his waist in the future, he can continue to seek treatment from Li Quan. For this, he generously gave the boy 6,000 taels as a reward. And be prepared to provide this kid with a week's worth of free meals. For the sake of my own future happiness, I'm going all out. However, the way his hands were typing aroused everyone's curiosity. But after a round of questioning without any results, everyone lost interest. But Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, stuck out his signature tongue, and licked the chopsticks in his hand. The most important thing for a ninja is to gather intelligence. Orochimaru wanted to know something, but he couldn't hide it even if he tried. At this time, Orochimaru's style of doing things has changed. His desire for eternal life made him not want to miss any opportunity that could help him. So he does things without any taboos. Hey, Orochimaru, please stop scaring me, okay? On the side, seeing Orochimaru sticking out his tongue, Jiraiya waved his hand with some disgust. After his 3 apprentices left school, Zelair returned to the village. But he found that his 2 teammates had completely changed. They were all disciples of the 3rd Hokage and were awarded the title of Konoha Sunin during the Second Ninja World War. Now they are all elite JA. Nin. Jiraiya really couldn't figure it out. Why now, one has become extremely gloomy and the other has a dull look in his eyes. Although he wanted to change the two of them, he really had no good way to do it for the time being. Late at night, Orochimaru began his move. Silently, he entered the house. He made seals with his hands, and an illusory giant snake bit his sleeping hand. It wasn't long before Orochimaru frowned. Li Quan? Whose child is this kid? And what abilities does he have? Through ninjutsu, he saw all the scenes of Li Quan's treatment. However, at the most critical moment of treatment, he actually closed his eyes. He squinted his eyes speechlessly. Orochimaru exited the room. We don't know anything, so the uncertainty is huge. But soon, his eyes became firm. He doesn't want to miss any opportunity to pursue eternal life. It seems that it is necessary to take a look at this little guy. Chapter 8. At dusk, around 8 o'clock. When he got home, Li Quan's face was already full of smiles. He was extremely happy at this moment. 6,000 taels. A full 6,000 taels. I would actually use the reward from a D-level task as a thank you. What a pleasant surprise. But shouldn't the reward for a D-level mission be 5,000 to 50,000? Slightly puzzled, he immediately understood. Take a commission. The commission is about 16%, which is really unfair. Whose idea was this? This is another factor that affects his ability to make money. No matter what, let's draw the prize first. Thinking of this, Li Quan called upon the system in his heart. In this lottery, Li Quan actually wanted a set of cultivation techniques. He currently only has one skill, the dual hands, and it is incomplete. Now something has been revealed. Although it was for his own goal, he joined the ninja school. But these mysterious places will sooner or later attract the attention of those who are interested. If you can't protect yourself, then having a system is a waste. Moreover, there is too much uncertainty in relying on the system to reward cultivation. Tasks are not always available. Lottery, and randomness. Although he has gone through 3 stages of body refining, his current strength is barely acceptable. But after all, it is not the best in this world. You should know that in this world, there are also descendants of aliens called Sage of 6 Paths. If this person notices him, he will be in trouble. Therefore, what Li Quan lacks most now is the method of cultivation. With the practice of this technique, the chi in his body can be increased. And he can use his double hands many times to train his body. If time is sufficient, his body will become indestructible sooner or later. Thinking of this, Li Quan's face showed more excitement. He stood up, closed the curtains, and then sat on the sofa, mumbling to himself. Begin the lottery. A gleam of light flashed under his gaze. The stack of banknotes on the table suddenly became thinner. Although it hurt, Li Quan still looked at the virtual gift box in front of him with anticipation. 10A09. Hiss, there's even a countdown in cutscenes. This is a bit torturous, okay. But 10 seconds is not unacceptable. Soon, the gift box was opened. And Li Quan's ears also heard the wonderful voice of the system. Ding, congratulations to the host, the fusion degree of both hands has increased by 30%. Note, skill fusion degree, equivalent skill proficiency. Proficiency is divided into entry level, minor level, grandmaster, major level, and master. Every 20% of fusion degree is a watershed. Red hand of dual hands, proficiency, 35%, minor success. Then, there was no follow-up. How should I put it, it was a bit unexpected. It actually improves proficiency. It seems that the system's lottery is not that simple. Now this situation is completely acceptable. After all, it directly increased the proficiency of the double-handed skills by 30%. Originally, his proficiency was only 5%, but he used chi to temper his body more than 3 times. After recovering before, I was unable to use the chi in my body to fully refine my body. With his current proficiency in both hands, when he refines his body again, the consumption of chi should be much less. This situation is not much different from what he expected. It seems that I am destined to become holy in the flesh. With a sigh, Li Quan became more determined to join the ninja school. After joining the ninja school, the chi in your body will triple. By then, the efficiency of his body training will also increase 3-fold. After that, it might not take a year for him to defeat a cage-level warrior with his physical strength alone. Thinking happily, Li Quan used his red hands to increase his physical strength. In 5 minutes, less than half of the chi was consumed. Li Quan instantly felt like he was drinking a carbonated drink. The 4th body refining that was not completed before was completed. This was his previous experience. Having this feeling means that he has successfully trained his body. Continue. Although his body was sticky, Li Quan did not slack off. It is better to master strength in your own hands as soon as possible. He has become a cheater and he doesn't want to capsize in the gutter. Anyway, he has made up his mind now. He won't go to sleep until he has exhausted himself today. After another 10 minutes, about 10% of the chi in the body was consumed. Li Quan completed his 5th body training. Afterwards, every time he practiced physical training, the chi in his body would be consumed a little more than last time. By the time more than 80% of the chi in his body was completely exhausted, he had only managed to refine his body 5 more times. Li Quan was very satisfied with the result. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his body had become extremely strong. He even had a feeling that he could smash a small hill with one punch. This made Li Quan feel a little unreal. The power of the Shuangchuan hand seemed to be a little stronger than he expected. Now, red hand alone is already this strong. What about the other blue hand? If you can draw the blue hand, then practicing the Li Chuan technique won't be a big deal. You know, blue hand's ability is to master the concept of S*X in life. Concept skills, the potential is endless. Having the blue hand is equivalent to having a top-level practice method to increase chi. Alas, it all comes down to lack of money. Bounty mission? Forget it, the biggest sin of killing in his previous life was boiling eggs. He has never killed anyone. It's better to just rely on ninja missions and earn money from lotteries. When you become stronger, you can beat up 6 paths and punch the moon. After all, we have a system. It would be embarrassing if we don't become the strongest in the world. But my current short-term goal is to practice peacefully. It would be best if I could enter a ninja school. Then, he revealed some of his strengths from time to time, became an ordinary middle-level staff member, and graduated successfully. As for the mid to long-term goals, it is to work hard to make money and participate in lotteries. Come to think of it, I haven't seen my parents in this world for a long time. When I have the ability again, I will definitely let my parents have a good rest. After taking a shower, Li Chuan looked through the chakra practice method left by his parents and tried to practice it. After all, they all lead to the same goal, so I think it should be effective. 50 minutes later, Li Chuan was surprised to find that it actually worked. The usefulness was not as great as he imagined. After more than an hour, after completing 5 more body refinements, the chi in his body was once again exhausted. At the same time, on the other side, the time was around 11 o'clock at night. Orochimaru left the house where the hand was hit. Orochimaru was sure that the hand was an ordinary person. That's why he dared to attack his opponent directly. But after reading the hand-typed memories, Li Chuan was no longer a simple guy in his eyes. Although Orochimaru was very confident that he could beat the kid easily. But the village has the Uchiha clan acting as a guard. In the village, he used ninjutsu many times, which made him easy to be discovered by the Uchiha clan. Especially Uchiha Fugaku. This person's strength is extremely terrifying. If the child's resistance is loud enough and attracts Uchiha Fugaku, it will be troublesome. Now the experiment has reached a critical stage. If something happens to me, the experiment might go badly. It's not worth stopping the experiment just to catch a child. Ponder for a long time. Orochimaru walked towards the office of his master, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Intelligence is the most important part of ninja operations. I guess 3rd generation has already noticed this kid named Li Chuan. First, get information about this little guy from the 3rd generation, and then observe secretly. If the child doesn't have any special abilities, then just tie him up. It's just a day or 2 anyway. After so many years of research, he has a lot of patience. He doesn't care about this little bit of time. Thinking of this, Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked the kunao. Please give me rewards, attention, and comments, and urge me to update. Chapter 9. Time, push forward. It was around 7 o'clock, when the sun was setting. Li Chuan separated from Yahai Kurane and Nohara Lin and was about to go home. Alone, Li Chuan saw Might Guy being bullied by 2 ninjas on the street ahead. At times like this, Kakashi should have come to the rescue. But now, Li Chuan has moved. Now, he also has a mission to join the ninja school. It is a good choice to expose your edge appropriately. Moreover, Might Guy was the only person he knew who was admitted to the ninja school. The benefits of connecting with this little beast are enormous. Moreover, he was also very envious of the 8 Gates ninja technique. With a cool spinning kick, he knocked down 2 people. Li Chuan shook his head slightly and said to Might Guy, Dad was laughed at like that, and you couldn't even fight back. Okay, work hard. After saying that, he turned around and left. In fact, Li Chuan was not trying to be cool, but he had no idea how to communicate with Might Guy. After all, there wasn't much talk between the 2 of them before. And at that time, Li Quan's mind was completely on those little girls. But he never expected that he now had the ability to knock out Chunin. What kind of strength is the King Kong realm? Not far away, there is a crossroads. Konoha White Fang, Hatake Sakumo looked at Li Quan's figure and glanced sideways for a few seconds. Kicked 2 Chunin unconscious instantly. Although there is an element of sneak attack, is this kind of strength Genin or Chunin? This strength is probably comparable to Kakashi. This year's class of children is really full of hidden talents. Kakashi, that kid may be your lifelong rival. Ruffling Kakashi's silver hair, Hatake Sakumo smiled. At the same time, the Sarutobi clan, the household of Sarutobi Hizen. Sarutobi Shinigami felt a sense of uneasiness when he saw his unconscious brother on the bed. My brother has a very hot temper, like a powder keg. I do things based on my preference. This time, he brought Asuma back, and he was afraid that this kid would make trouble again. Headache. When will my younger brother understand things? He even used ninjutsu for fun. This isn't a fighting competition, is there any need to make such a fuss? And the ability of that kid named Li Chuan is truly astonishing. Especially the last one. The speed is so fast that it doesn't seem like ninjutsu or taijutsu at all. More like a wild beast's explosion. If he hadn't taken action in advance, his brother would have definitely vomited a lot of acid after being hit by that punch. After pulling open Asuma Sarutobi's clothes, Sarutobi Shinigami's pupils suddenly shrank. There is nothing at all? How is that possible? At that time, he clearly saw the fist landing on Asuma's stomach. He even heard the sound. How is it possible that there are no traces at all? This is not in line with common sense. After thinking for several times, Sarutobi Shinigami still couldn't figure out what was going on. However, he had a few more guesses in his mind. Or maybe Li Quan really didn't hit his brother at that time, he just hit his clothes. Either that or Li Quan's control over power had reached an unparalleled level at that time. If the latter guess is true, then this Li Quan is a bit scary. He's so young, but he has so many thoughts. However, he prefers the former. After all, with his speed as a Nin, how could he be slower than a child? He must have knocked Asma unconscious first, which prevented Asma from being hit by Li Quan's punch. Yes, that must be it. But Sarutobi Shinigami would never have thought that none of his guesses were correct. Li Quan's fist actually hit Asma's stomach. However, after discovering Sarutobi Shinigami, Li Quan immediately used his full power. Compared to Li Quan's hideous scar, the bruised stomach was obviously much easier to treat. In just a second or two, Li Quan healed the bruise and retracted his fist. Inside the room, Asma was drooling and sleeping like a dead pig. Sarutobi Shinigami smiled and shook his head. Since his brother is fine, he has to complete his work. Dusk, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was busy reviewing documents, suddenly raised his head. Shinigami? Is that you? Hokage-sama, I'm here to submit my mission. Sarutobi Shinigami, who was wearing a mask, did not call Sarutobi Hiruzen father. Now is the working period. And his father is the third Hokage. It would be bad if someone caught us. Actually, there's no one here right now. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. His meaning was already very clear. Just because of his status, he didn't pay much attention to his two sons. This resulted in a bad relationship between him and his two sons. Father, Hokage-sama, this is at work. On the side, Sarutobi Shinigami said something with a somewhat complaining tone. Then, he placed an evaluation form on Sarutobi Hiruzen's desk. Although Sarutobi Shinigami admires his father. However, the long-standing estrangement cannot be eliminated by just a few words. Alas, watching his son use the instant body movement technique to leave, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought he was a good politician. But he didn't think he was a good father. He really owed too much to these two sons. Sighing again, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the evaluation form in front of him. Ebisu is indeed a talented child, and his chakra amount is quite good. He smacked his lips and began to move his gaze downwards. Sometimes nod, sometimes shake your head. Soon, he saw Might Guy's introduction. He's a hard-working kid, qualified to be a ninja. He's young and hard-working, so he's perfect for inheriting the consciousness of fire. With a sigh, his sight suddenly froze and his brows furrowed. Hey? Li Quan? During the entrance examination, Sarutobi Hiruzen watched the entire process in secret through the telescope technique. He originally didn't pay much attention to the child Li Quan. But the child's parents, a pair of genin, were willing to do the most dangerous spy work. Come to think of it, this matter has something to do with him. So he paid more attention to this little guy. A very smart and clever child who has a lot of fun playing with his peers. He is also very handsome. But when he took the test during the day, the result was really unexpected to him. Not only is it not outstanding, but it also loses its sunny state. However, the evaluation of the information in his hand was too dazzling. Li Quan, XXX, potential unknown, deliberately hiding physical talent, strength reaction, comparable to veteran genin. Highly suspected, because he failed the entrance test and was hit and awakened a special bloodline limit, body strengthening type. Suggestion, investigate the background of his parents. Looking at the obviously modified content, Sarutobi Hiruzen fell silent. The modified content can still be seen clearly. The two reviews combined actually take up the largest amount of space. Combining the two comments, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart was already in turmoil. Finally, he wrote down a few names on the supplementary list. One of them is Li Quan. Chapter 10. Inside the Hokage's office. After writing down Li Quan's name, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a long drag on his pipe. It took him a long time to blow out the smoke ring. It seems that the child's parents have already told him about some of the previous things. Muttering to himself, he recalled the night 5 years ago. That day, a ninja couple from the village asked me to find someone to heal their child's facial injuries. At that time, the second ninja war broke out. Due to various comprehensive factors, he did not bring his apprentice Tsunade back. As a result, the child ended up with lifelong disfigurement. Although Tsunade saw the child afterwards, she was still powerless to do anything. Later, they were afraid that the couple would cause trouble in the village and affect the stability of the village. He used an excuse to trick the couple out of the village. But that reason is not wrong. By becoming Tsunade's apprentice, maybe one day in the future I could really heal this child's face. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's opinion, Li Quan didn't want to expose his talent, probably because of what happened 5 years ago. But in the afternoon, he again said that he wanted to become Hokage. It was obvious that the will of fire he preached had some effect. Afterwards, the little guy even had a fight with his younger son. This clever little guy, do you really think he can't see it? If he really can't see it, then all his years as the third Hokage would have been in vain. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen had thought before, he was a good politician. He doesn't mind showing kindness for anything that is good for Konoha. Today, Li Quan is just a kid with secrets who is not very good at hiding them. At most, he felt dissatisfied with him as the third Hokage. Just instill the will of fire in the future and then guide it slowly. He will definitely be able to make use of this child. Help Konoha and make contributions. After taking a few more deep puffs of his pipe, Sarutobi Hiruzen continued working. This scene made Orochimaru outside the house very anxious. As an impatient person, Orochimaru was able to restrain himself from attacking Li Quan immediately, which was already a sign of his restraint. After all, the battle with Salamander Hanzo almost cost him his life. He was afraid of failing if his intelligence work was not done well. All for eternal life. At times like this, there must be no chaos. You know, not long ago, this hypocritical teacher of mine closed down his laboratory. None of them are good people. Orochimaru is still very afraid of this master. But what surprised him was that Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to be planning to stay up all night to handle official business. At this time, Orochimaru couldn't help but admire his master. This old man is really great for Konoha. When he didn't say anything, the old man was actually spying with a telescope. Wasn't Jiraiya influenced by this old man? Keep waiting. He had a vague feeling that the ability of this little guy Li Quan might bring him a huge surprise. On the other side, at Li Quan's home. In the morning, around 4 o'clock. The chi in Li Quan's body was exhausted once again. And he also completed his 20th body training. Originally Li Quan thought that he could complete at least 24 body trainings. However, during the 20th body training, Li Quan discovered that the consumption of chi in his body had returned to its previous level. This time he had a very clear grasp of it. With 80% of the chi left in the body, the final body refining was completed. Then, he would probably need all of his chi to complete the next body refining. But Li Quan is not feeling very lost now. 20 times of body training, in a fantasy novel, would be considered invincible in the early stages. In the Hokage world, one should at least have the power to save his life. Not to mention beating up a cage-level warrior, beating up an elite JA. Nin, that's just as easy, right? System, open the properties panel. Name, Li Quan age, 5 years old realm, diamond realm skill, red hand, one of the 2 perfect hands, minor proficiency, 35% total amount of chi, 1.5 cups of water simple as always. But isn't this realm a little wrong? He has completed 20 body trainings. Why is it still the Vajra realm? Could it be that this state is determined by the total amount of chi in one's body? However, the total amount of chi in his body had increased by half a cup without him noticing. This was something he had not expected. What is the reason? Feeling a little confused, Li Quan dragged his heavy body and fell asleep. Early the next morning. Behind the village, on the west side. Shimura Danzo, who had just left the route not long ago, was returning to the village. Another school year begins. As the leader of the route, Danzo would naturally not miss this opportunity. After the Second Ninja War, he also lost a lot of route members. Even the darkest roots of Konoha need an injection of fresh blood. Among the information collected this time, Hotaki Kakashi is a good choice. But Hotaki Sakumo has been very popular recently. It seems that we need to act sooner. Not only did he get rid of the guy who threatened him to become Hokage, but he could also use his son as a knife. Tisk tisk. The other side. After a quick wash, Li Quan headed to the east side of the mountain behind the village early. Not knowing your own strength is a very dangerous thing. Although Li Quan knew that he was very strong now. But he still needs to verify how strong it is. Moreover, he also wants to try to control his power. After all, there are not many bulls at home. If you don't control your strength and just crush a few of them, you'll have to spend money again. The remaining 2,500 taels are not worth spending. Not long after, Li Quan arrived at an uninhabited woodland. This is the woodland behind the Hokage Rock in Konoha village. It is also the least populated place. Moreover, it is very safe here. At least there are no ferocious beasts here. Stopping by a small lake, Li Quan took out the knife he had brought with him. Ninja tools are luxury items. Without Tian Tian's ability to summon ninja tools, Li Quan cannot afford ninja tools. This time he took the knife because he was going to test the hardness of his skin. At the same time, it is also to test the other abilities of Shuangquanchao. After all, there is only so much space at home. It bleeds a little, which is hard to deal with. He destroyed things and asked him to spend money to repair them. After observing for a while and seeing that there was no one around, Li Quan took a knife and cut his finger. Holy shit, it didn't break. Is my body too heaven-defying? Looking at the fleeting white mark on his finger, the corners of his mouth curled up into an arc. The current situation is somewhat beyond his expectations. The next moment, he suddenly grasped the knife and slashed at his arm. Ding! A metallic collision sound suddenly rang out. Crash! Then, the sound of leaves rustling came wave after wave. A large number of birds that had just woken up flew up from the forest as if frightened. Looking at the broken section of the blade falling into the water, Li Quan suddenly laughed. Both hands are safe, both life is safe. Body training is the correct way to open Red Hand. Healing diseases, saving lives, and modifying the body, isn't that a pure waste of the chi in the body? Looking at his intact arm, Li Quan stretched his body. Then, he put his waist and horse together and took a stance. Looking at the 1 meter thick tree in front of him, he punched with all his strength. The punch speed that was completely invisible to the naked eye actually left an afterimage at this moment. With a loud bang, wood chips were flying all over the sky. The entire tree was blown up in an instant. The blast from the punch even caused a large number of trees to fall down. And in front of Li Quan, an empty area suddenly appeared. There was even a deep ravine under his feet. Crash! The water from the small lake flows into the ravine through a crack. Li Quan's dazed expression came back to his senses immediately after noticing that his shoes were a little cold. Why does this effect look so much like Orochimaru's wind style great breakthrough? Chapter 11. Wind style, great breakthrough is a C-rank ninjutsu. In Hokage, the classification of ninjutsu levels does not depend on the power of ninjutsu. Rather it is the difficulty of learning ninjutsu. The power of ninjutsu depends entirely on the person. Li Quan remembered that Orochimaru had used this trick during the Chunin exam. The destructive power can reach a distance of 40 to 50 meters. But in Li Quan's eyes, the power of his punch seemed even more terrifying than that thing. At the very least, the ravine in front of him was more than 1 meter deep. Let's go, we've caused such a big commotion that we can't continue testing our combat power. In a few flashes, Li Quan stepped on the branches and left the place. But every time he stepped on the branches, he would break them, which made him speechless. Fortunately, his parents had taught him some of the most basic knowledge of ninja training. After gradually getting the hang of it, the problem of using too much force was improved. After circling the back mountain for a few times, he returned home. And on the west side of the back mountain, Shimura Danzo looked confused. Who made such a big fuss? Is it an enemy attack? Looking at the smoke and dust not far away, he hurried over immediately. Danzo reached the Nin level a long time ago. So he moved very quickly, and soon he arrived at the destroyed place. Looking at this extremely terrifying destructive power, Danzo was stunned for a moment. This destructive power has reached the limit of Nin, right? There are not many wind attribute ninjas in Konoha village who can achieve this. Is it really an enemy attack? It shouldn't be. How could an enemy be so stupid as to reveal his position without using such a skill before attacking? From this point of view, it is very likely that he is from the village. But who is it? After a thorough investigation, Danzo still could not determine who this person was. However, he already had several candidates in mind. Uchiha Fugaku, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and his old rivals the third generation. He waved behind him, and 2 masked ninjas immediately appeared behind Shimura's hiding place. Go check which of these people came to the back mountain today. After pondering for a moment, Danzo gave another instruction. Let someone restore this place so as not to cause panic to others. The 2 figures disappeared immediately. As for Danzo, he opened his right eye which was under the bandage. The scarlet 3 Magatama pupil slowly opened. At this time, Uchiha Shisui had just been born. This Sharingan was obtained by Danzo from somewhere else. The most basic ability of Sharingan is observation. Now he wanted to see what details he had overlooked. But in an instant, Danzo was stunned. There is not even any chakra left. What a clever hiding method. As he walked forward, Danzo's inner uneasiness became more and more intense. There is a problem, and it is not a big one. How is it possible that with such a large-scale technique, there is not even a trace of chakra left? Even at this moment, he was not quite sure whether the person who caused such horrific destruction was a wind-type ninja. But this is obviously only possible with wind-type ninjutsu. Soon after, he came to the small lake. Suddenly a faint reflection caught his attention. With a clench of his hand, the half of the blade in the lake was held in his hand. This is my Konoha's property. With his eyes narrowed, Danzo's eyes were filled with more doubts. Is this Nima poisonous? Everybody has a fruit knife. With just a rolled blade, what can he see? Oh, who is it? With such strong strength, he also has such a powerful hiding method. No matter how you look at it, he doesn't seem like a simple character. Humph, no matter who it is, anyone who threatens his becoming Hokage must die. He couldn't kill Hiruzen, this powerful man in the dark, and he wasn't going to let him go. At this moment, Li Quan, who had no idea what kind of shock he had brought to Danzo, went out again. No way, I'm hungry. After completing 20 body training sessions, he felt that all the cells in his body were craving for energy. Especially after he launched that full-strength attack. His body felt an incomparable hunger. As a result, all the chi in his body was consumed. This is not a long-term solution after all. So Li Quan prepared to go to Ichiraku ramen restaurant to have a good meal. But we agreed to provide him with free meals for a week. If you don't take advantage of an opportunity, you're a bdhehe, I guess I'll be in trouble if I type manually from now on. Turning a street, Li Quan saw a little girl who looked a little melancholy. The little girl was alone, looking at the sky with a dull look in her eyes. After discovering Li Quan, the little girl just forced a smile and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Li Quan ran over immediately. Holding the little girl's hand, he asked doubtfully, Shizuan, why are you leaving? Although he asked this, he knew very well what the reason was. Shizuan's parents and uncle all died in the Second Ninja War. Compared to having her own parents, Jing Ian at this moment was extremely sad. Soon, Shizuan will probably leave the village and wander around with Tsunade. Then your personality will gradually become cheerful. Li Quan has a lot on his mind when it comes to these girls of his own age. After all, he has traveled through time, so isn't it standard to find a famous female Hokage as his wife? If possible, it's not impossible to have a harem. When I put away my thoughts, I found a trace of sadness on Shizuan's face. Li Quan immediately smiled cheerfully, Shizuan, let me take you to eat something delicious. Then, without saying anything, he took Shizuan by the hand and headed to Ichiraku Ramen Restaurant. 10 minutes later. Seeing Jing Ian, who was captivated by the delicious food and had a happy smile on her face, Li Chuan smiled with satisfaction. Indeed, delicious food is a good medicine to cure sadness. But then, his eyes turned to the hands that were cooking ramen. There were 2 subtle marks on the neck from the beating. With his eyes slightly narrowed, Li Chuan already had a guess in his mind. As far as he could remember, there was only one Hokage with this kind of mark. Orochimaru using various snake-like ninjutsu. But to be honest, the marks on the neck from the hit were very subtle. If it weren't for the several times of body training, Li Quan's eyesight would have improved a lot. He really couldn't tell. At this time, Orochimaru's style of doing things was still quite something. At least you know how to hide it. However, he didn't quite understand why Orochimaru paid attention to the hand beating. Brother, did you try it yesterday? You little guy, are you making fun of me? And you're telling me that you have a new girlfriend? Inside the house, Xiaoda, who had just finished his work, winked at Li Chuan and said jokingly. But in his heart, he sincerely admired her. Li Chuan is a really amazing guy. If he is so fickle at such a young age, what will happen to him when he grows up? The key point is that now, these little girls didn't make any trouble. Maybe it's because I was young and didn't realize this. But that is also this kid's ability. This kid has the potential to become a master of time management. At the side, Jing Ian, who was eating, suddenly blushed. Then he buried his head in the bowl. If it was typed manually, Jing Ian wouldn't be able to hear the deeper meaning. She only heard the word girlfriend. She wanted to veto it, but for a moment, she was too shy to say it. Brother, stop joking. We are still young. Li Chuan waved his hands hastily to ease the awkwardness of Jing Yin. Then he started chatting with his friend. Under his intentional or unintentional guidance, I casually recounted what happened yesterday. This allowed Li Chuan to quickly guess everything. Because of Hashirama's cells? It seems that Orochimaru is targeting me. As he looked at the empty bowls gradually piling up, his expression became increasingly strange. Chapter 12. Ichiraku Ramen Restaurant. Originally, I was in a good mood when typing. My waist and legs are no longer sore. Even when he walked, he felt a gust of wind assisting his steps. But because of worry, this is only normal on the surface. So I typed it by hand yesterday and didn't rush to find my girlfriend to verify it. Instead, we should prepare to wait one night to see if there will be any unexpected events. Then, this morning he found that he felt much better. So he decided to try it out with his girlfriend tonight. After seeing Li Chuan from afar, Xiaoda immediately prepared ramen to fill the boy's stomach. Unexpectedly, Li Chuan became a little out of control while eating. Yesterday, the little girl named Noherolin only ate 3 bowls. But now Li Chuan is probably already eating his 9th bowl. Why do you look like you haven't eaten enough? Brother, can you have another bowl? Hearing this, his face suddenly turned dark. Big loss. If he sells it normally, he has already made 700 or 800 taels. Now not only are we not making any money, but we are also continuing to lose money. Who can be happy about this? According to his previous idea, if Li Chuan ate 20 bowls of noodles at most, he would only lose 1,500 taels. But if I eat like this, won't I lose tens of thousands of taels? With his fist clenched, he swore secretly. If the effect tonight is not good, he will definitely teach this brat a lesson. He served Li Chuan another bowl of ramen. Xiaoda completely lost interest in continuing the conversation with Li Chuan. Now he absolutely didn't want to look at Li Chuan again. He was afraid that he couldn't help but punch the boy. How can there be a child who can eat so much? Is this guy a pig? After eating for a long time, my stomach didn't get any bigger. Where did those noodles go? In the end, Li Chuan left Ichiraku Ramen with great pride, having 53 empty bowls. Including the bowl of ramen that Shizuan ate, he didn't pay a penny. Because my hands are numb from typing. It's my fault that I went to my grandma's house. When will this loss be recovered? Looking at the empty bowl in front of him, the restaurant closed early. Blue thin mushroom. As if he thought of something, his eyes suddenly lit up. This seems like a good gimmick. Shocking, a kid ate 53 bowls of ramen in one go at Ichiraku. Is it the distortion of human nature or the decline of morality? At this moment, Xiaoda had already anticipated that his noodle shop would make a fortune every day. He even had another idea in his mind. Should we hold a big eating competition in the future? The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He immediately took out his old camera and took a picture of the pile of empty bowls. Looking at this pile of empty bowls, I always feel that something is missing. By the way, this kid came too early and no villagers saw him. In this case, the credibility is not high. It seems that I have to trick this guy into taking a photo. Walking on the streets. Li Chuan scratched his head in embarrassment. Jing Ian watched the scene of him eating noodles from beginning to end. The current situation was that Shizuan was staring at his belly with curiosity. Then I kept asking what the reason was. But this matter involved his secret, and he was not going to tell anyone. Eating a lot only means that he has a good appetite and it doesn't indicate any other reasons. However, once I explained it to this little girl. This little girl is not very careful with her words. If she tells others about it, it will be troublesome. Haha, my appetite has improved recently. I felt like eating a lot today, so I ate more. Li Chuan made up a random excuse and tried to get away with it. But he didn't expect that Jing Ian actually believed it. I have to say, children are still naive. I will also eat well in the future, work hard to become a ninja, and avenge my parents. Looking at Jing Ian, she clenched her fists and spoke seriously. Although Li Chuan breathed a sigh of relief, he felt particularly heavy in his heart. After this incident, Jing Ian's mood was obviously much better. But after hearing Jing Ian's words, Li Chuan couldn't calm down. It was too heavy. Shizuan, who was 1 year older than him, only talked about revenge. Shizuan, why don't we go eat the 3-color meatballs again? Touching Jing Ian's hair, Li Chuan smiled brightly. Yeah, okay. At the same time, the center of Konoha village, the Hokage office. After finishing his official business in a half-entertainment and half-work manner, Sarutobi Hiruzen put the supplementary list into the cabinet. After blowing out a smoke ring, he stood up and stretched. The list of students to be admitted to the ninja school could be decided in one night. After all, the most basic ability of a ninja is to gather information. Know which of these children from civilian families have ninja talent. With the abilities of Enbu and other JA. Nin, 1 afternoon plus 1 night is more than enough. But the appearance of Li Chuan made Sarutobi Hiruzen change his mind. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to observe it for a few more days. If necessary, he wanted to meet the little guy in person. The will of fire must be cultivated earlier. A ninja without the will of fire will only bring disaster to the village. If the will of fire cannot be cultivated, then there is no need for this little guy named Li Chuan to exist. On the branch outside the house, there was a small snake about 20 to 30 centimeters long, spitting out its tongue. Found Sarutobi Hiruzen leaving the Hokage's office. The little snake suddenly opened its mouth, and then a palm stretched out from its mouth. Ninjutsu, snake hiding. Not long after, Orochimaru's figure appeared intact on the branch. In an instant, he arrived in the Hokage's office. After searching for a while, Orochimaru saw Sarutobi Shinishuk's evaluation. With just a quick glance, he remembered all the information. Then leave quickly. Just a few seconds after Orochimaru left, Sarutobi Hiruzen pushed open the door of the office. Thunder? Who is it? Sarutobi Hiruzen muttered to himself in doubt and shook his head slightly. It seems to be an illusion. This is the Hokage's office after all. Who has the guts to come here and steal things? On the branch, the small white snake, which was about 20 to 30 centimeters long, spit out its tongue. Then he climbed down the tree trunk quietly. After getting away. Bang! With a slight sound, the little white snake turned into the appearance of Orochimaru in an empty corner. E-level ninjutsu, transformation technique. Can change into various forms through ninjutsu. At this moment, Orochimaru was sweating profusely. The situation was urgent, so he could only use the magic of transformation to hide his body. This old man Sarutobi reacts too quickly. But this old man is really carefree and doesn't think too much. It seems that after being the Hokage for so many years, I have lost my sense of vigilance. Doesn't that mean that we can kill this old man by taking him by surprise? Startled, Orochimaru fell into self-doubt. He actually had the idea of a killing his master. For what reason? It's because the laboratory was closed some time ago. Or is this master's tacit approval of Denzo's route? Or, the gradual disappearance of the Senjo clan? Not daring to think about it, Orochimaru went to his private laboratory. The information we have about Li Chuan now is still not enough. Did he just awaken a special bloodline limit? Orochimaru still believed in Anbu's abilities. As Konoha's #1 scientist, he understands bloodline limits better than anyone else. In order to become a ninja, one must have certain genes in his body. When this specific gene mutates, it will produce a special bloodline limit. Certain bloodline limits can threaten the existence of J.A. Nin. But now, he doesn't want to wait any longer. Chapter 13. In a private laboratory. Orochimaru looked at the various instruments in front of him and fell into deep thought. The death of his apprentice Senju Ropetree not only caused a huge change in the personality of his teammate Tsunade. At the same time, it also gave Orochimaru a deeper understanding of the fragility of life. Nothing is permanent, everything passes away. So he was afraid and developed a fear of death. At the same time, his desire for eternal life reached an obsessive level. But his teacher, Sarutobi Hiruzen, closed his laboratory that was studying the human body. After stopping his research on Hashirama's cells, Orochimaru was confused for a while. But later, he built this laboratory privately. Eternal life. How he wished he could live forever. Use eternal life to study everything in the world. The experiment has now shown some results. He now desperately needs success to prove himself. So, he didn't want to wait any longer. A 5-year-old child, even if he awakens his bloodline limit, what can he do? Could it be possible to really kill him? Orochimaru now has a fear of death. But he wouldn't be so scared that he wouldn't even have the courage to fight. The title of Konoha Sunin was actually earned through his fight with Salamander Hanzo during the Second Ninja War. Even if he died, he didn't want to die in mediocrity. At least before he dies, he wants to master the secret of eternal life. Orochimaru, the leader wants to see you. Suddenly, a figure wearing a fox mask appeared in front of Orochimaru. Root member. Squinting his eyes, Orochimaru stuck out his tongue. Because he had been practicing snake secrets for many years, his tongue directly blocked the figure in front of him. After confirming the authenticity of this person, he nodded. Seeing the person leave, he narrowed his eyes again. What's wrong with this guy Denzo? By this time, Orochimaru had already joined the root organization. Of course, all this is for the purpose of studying immortality. Over the years, he has invested most of his income in research for experiments. Without the help of Shimura Denso, he would not have been able to build a new laboratory so quickly. But they are all old foxes, so they naturally know very well what Denso is thinking. It was only the day before yesterday that he communicated information with Denso. Now that Denso is looking for him, he really doesn't know why. Half an hour passed. After leaving the route, Orochimaru went directly to Li Quan's home. Konoha village is very large. Forests occupy the vast majority of the area. Most of these areas were divided into trial areas for ninjas to complete rating exams. Therefore, the mountain area behind the Hokage rock, which is connected to the village, became a den of filth and dirt in the village. The root, Anbu, the secret training of various ninja clans, and his new laboratory are all in that area. So Orochimaru didn't understand. Who would make such a big fuss in that area? Fortunately, that area is far away from his laboratory. Shimura Denso dealt with the traces in that area in a timely manner. Otherwise, those guys from Anbu might discover his new laboratory. But how did Denso restore so many destroyed plants? Without wood-style ninjutsu, if you want to recover, then the only option is space-time ninjutsu. There doesn't seem to be any roots for space-time ninjutsu, right? Shaking his head suddenly, Orochimaru put away his thoughts. We can talk about the root cause later. Now he needs to find the child Li Quan. Just a child who might awaken a healing bloodline limit. Although it was just his guess. But Li Quan is just a child after all. A whole night has passed, and he doesn't want to wait any longer. At the same time, inside the meatball shop, Li Quan pinched Jing Ian's cheeks, which were swollen from eating the three-color meatballs, and laughed unkindly. At this moment, Jing Ian looks just like a little hamster, so cute that it is hard to resist. So Li Quan decided to bully him. This scene immediately made Jing Ian blush. Somewhat at a loss, Jing Ian could only say angrily, Mr. Nikwan, please, 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 I am fed up with this bag. However, because she was holding a meatball in her mouth, her voice was quiet and a little slurred. However, this amused the other customers around even more. The play between children is often the most innocent. These two children not only healed their tired hearts, but also made them smile knowingly. The atmosphere around her made Shizun even more shy. For a moment, she actually trotted out of the meatball shop. Seeing this, Li Quan immediately paid and followed. Although the village is safe, it would be bad if something happened. But because he was running too fast, before he could see clearly, he fell into a soft ball. So soft and fragrant. Where does the smell of milk come from? Li Quan pinched it and was suddenly shocked. These seemed to be two peaks. An extreme chill, mixed with a hint of alcohol, frightened Li Quan so much that he instantly moved away. Then he saw a smooth and tender fist smashing towards the ground. Bang! The ground suddenly cracked into dense cracks like a spider web. Amid the smoke and dust, Li Quan finally saw who he had hit. She has this amazing figure, plus that white and green outfit. Who else could it be if not Senju Tsunade? Tsunade doesn't look like she's going to hold back on this punch. Oh no, his strength has been exposed. I rushed too fast before and couldn't stop the momentum. If the person who was hit hadn't been Tsunade who possessed extraordinary strength, the others would have been knocked away long ago. Just when Li Quan was thinking about how to explain, Tsunade was also looking at Li Quan. She almost couldn't block Li Quan's collision. This was nothing, after all, there was a new genius in the village, and she was still very happy. But what made Tsunade angry was that the brat not only took a few deep breaths, but also attacked her. Kato Dandu and her never got to this point. How dare this pervert? In addition, she lost money gambling all night and was in a bad mood, so she drank a little wine. In a rage, Tsunade took action directly. However, after waking up a little, Tsunade had already started to sweat on her back. The scene of Shang Shu's death instantly appeared before her eyes. At this moment, Shang Shu's figure gradually merged with Li Quan. Ah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Tsunade screamed in fear and ran away. This was not a pleasant meeting and Li Quan was stunned. Li Quan knew Tsunade's experience. But he can't read minds. He had no idea what Tsunade was thinking. After looking at Jing Ian who was also confused not far away, Li Quan walked over. Let's put Tsunade's matter aside for now. Although he also had an idea, to cure Tsunade's hemophobia. But he doesn't have blue hands now. He is not good at talking. Shizun, how about I take you home first? Seeing Shizue nod, he took Shizue's hand and went to Shizue's home. Afterwards, Li Quan went to the ninja school in Konoha. The expected supplementary list did not appear. This made Li Quan narrow his eyes. As far as he remembered, the list of supplementary admissions for Kakashi's class was announced the next day. There shouldn't be any mistakes. For this reason, he specifically beat up Asuma Sarutobi yesterday and revealed some of his strength. The purpose is to be included in the supplementary admission list. But now the content of this announcement can be summed up in one sentence. School will officially start in 5 days. There was no mention of supplementary recording at all. There is a problem. Has my appearance begun to affect the development of the Hokage world? It seems that I have to stay out of the spotlight from now on. Once the timeline is messed up, he will no longer have the advantage in intelligence in the future. At the same time, Orochimaru has arrived at Li Quan's home. Please add it to the bookshelf, ask for gifts, ask for attention, and have mercy on the child. Chapter 14. Looking at the simple furnishings in the room, Orochimaru smiled grimly. Once that little guy comes over, everything will come to fruition. In front of the ninja school, Li Chuan left helplessly. Since he was not admitted, he had to think of other ways. If it doesn't work out, you can go to school next year. After all, with the system in place, saving money for the lottery safely is his main goal. If we don't squeeze out the value of the system, wouldn't that be embarrassing for the time travelers? Let's go home first. Try to do the 21st body refining and see how much chi is needed. A little bit adds up to a lot. If you use up the chi in your body a few more times, you can still succeed in body refining. Li Chuan estimated that he was now at the level of an elite JA. Nin. In this world, he is not the strongest being. Moreover, he is only strong physically now. I have never cultivated my mental strength, so it still has some shortcomings. Facing a genjutsu master, you might still stumble. Li Chuan has made up his mind. Before you have absolutely powerful strength, you have to survive for a while. Just when Li Chuan was on his way home, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had transformed into a flying bird, was on the roof and looked over. E-rank ninjutsu, transformation technique. Can transform into various objects or creatures. Li Quan's peculiarity made Sarutobi Hiruzen want to find talented people. So after resting for a while, he came here in person. As for the supplementary list, Sarutobi Hiruzen was preparing and would make a decision after personally observing Li Chuan. He didn't want to put the village into crisis because of a wrong decision. Not long after, Li Chuan returned home. However, as soon as he entered the door, he sensed a cold atmosphere again. This smell made him very uncomfortable. So Li Chuan did not start to practice his body, but looked outside the house intentionally or unintentionally. After 20 sessions of body training, his body became extremely sensitive. On the way home, Li Chuan discovered a small bird, which looked like a sparrow, and would look at him from time to time. Moreover, he followed him all the way. This made him react immediately. Someone is following him. Ninjutsu is a very strange thing. Naruto transformed into a shuriken. It is not surprising that some people can turn into sparrows. However, having decided to stay hidden, Li Chuan did not alert the enemy. Maintaining the persona of an ordinary child, he returned home feeling a little lost. But he didn't expect that someone actually broke into his house. Who could be the one causing this eerie atmosphere in the room? The first thing Li Chuan thought of was Anbu and Roots. After all, there are only these two departments that do shameful things every day. The breath is also the most suitable. But Anbu could still understand why the Roots came here? He hasn't contacted Danzo yet. After eliminating the root cause, Li Chuan lay directly on the bed and closed his eyes. The eerie atmosphere in his home had changed. But when he looked out the window, that breath suddenly stopped. From this point of view, the people who are paying attention to me should be two parties. And out of fear, the two sides seem to be temporarily in a balance. Li Chuan was a little confused. Apart from Anbu, who else would be targeting him? But now he is not afraid of these two groups. With his strength, he is not afraid of anyone who is not a cage-level warrior. Moreover, he has the information advantage. No one knows how strong he is. But Li Chuan has a certain understanding of the combat capabilities of most ninjas. If a real fight breaks out, he will definitely be the one who survives. Inside the house, in the gap behind the refrigerator, Orochimaru, who had transformed into a small snake, couldn't help but shrink his pupils. If he hadn't subconsciously followed the child's gaze, he would have probably taken action just now. Transfiguration is different from shadow clone. As long as you observe carefully, you can still find it. With his keen sense gained from years of carrying out missions, Orochimaru immediately noticed something unusual about the sparrow on the treetop outside the window. It turned into a sparrow, but it didn't have any of the living habits of a sparrow. This is clearly someone using ninjutsu. Once he takes action, his experiments that he continues to conduct in secret may be exposed. How could Orochimaru allow this to happen? So, he stopped. But what shocked Orochimaru even more was the behavior of this kid Li Chuan. Was that intentional or unintentional gaze guiding him on purpose, or was it an unintentional action? If it was an unintentional action, it would make perfect sense. Look at the sunshine outside the window and judge it's time to lie down in bed and rest. But if not, then this child is too scary. Even he didn't notice the sparrow's abnormality at first. Not only did Li Chuan discover it, he might have even sensed his own aura. Then he directed his gaze to look out the window. So as to make oneself fearful. Is this the mentality a child can have? He had so many thoughts that his scalp was tingling. The most important thing is that after his second guess was confirmed, this child named Li Chuan actually dared to sleep at home. Is it because of big heart or dependence? If Li Chuan knew what Orochimaru was thinking, he would definitely sigh. As expected of Konoha's #1 scientist, his thinking is indeed meticulous. After acquiring the undead transformation technique, Ant Snake became so arrogant. Without being fully prepared, you dare to attack Uchiha Itachi, tisk tisk. On a branch outside the house, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't notice anything unusual at all. He hasn't been on a mission for many years, and his sensitivity to certain things has completely shifted to politics. Moreover, he never thought that a child could discover his existence. He, Sarutobi Hiruzen, is the third Hokage. In the outside world, there is a being called Professor Ninjutsu. How could the transformation technique he used have a flaw? Didn't you see that the Uchiha guards passing by on the street didn't notice his presence? If he had not collected Li Quan's chakra, he would not have been able to use the telescope technique to remotely observe Li Quan. Why should he do this? Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was feeling proud. Not far away on the street corner, several Uchiha people began to whisper. Hokage-sama is snooping again. Who is it this time? Alas, only the Hokage-sama has such a stupid transformation technique. The whole morning passed just like that. Because he worked all night last night, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had become a sparrow, could not hold on any longer. So after shaking his body a few times, he flew away. Inside the house, Li Quan, who had just taken a nap and was preparing to cook for himself, raised his eyebrows. From the sound of flapping wings, it seems that the sparrow has gone away. Then, is the person in his room going to take action, or continue to lie dormant? This hissing sound is rare among Hokage. Combined with that cold breath. At this moment, Li Quan suddenly guessed who the person in his room was. But is it Shadow Clone who is coming, or the little snake that is being controlled? Or, is it the real body that comes directly? Also, when did he meet Orochimaru? Could it be that, as a civilian, I was one of Orochimaru's 60 experimental subjects? This is a bit unlucky. While stirring the flour, Li Quan decided to take it one step at a time. It's just Orochimaru, whether he can break his defense is still unknown. I just feel sorry for my house. Once the fighting starts, I'm afraid the house will collapse. Just when Li Quan finished his noodles, a figure suddenly appeared behind him. Swish, a knife came swiftly from his hand. Bang! Orochimaru only felt his palms going numb. But when he saw Li Quan lying on the table, Orochimaru smiled. After all, he is just a child. Although he has awakened his abilities, he lacks experience. Picking up Li Quan, he used ninjutsu and went to his laboratory. But he didn't notice that Li Quan's eyelids twitched at this moment. Chapter 15. Behind the Hokage rocks, a figure was jumping quickly on the branches, with a child who looked about 5 or 6 years old clamped on his waist. This person is, of course, Orochimaru. The ease of the action was beyond his expectations. But come to think of it, this is how it should be. A pair of genin children, with no talent. Even if he awakens a special bloodline limit, it will probably only take 2 days. Apart from the fact that he found the child's muscles very stiff when he used his knife, he didn't notice anything unusual. But this actually made Orochimaru excited. Children with such strong bodies are excellent experimental materials if used as experimental subjects. So anxious was Orochimaru that he didn't even check Li Quan carefully. Li Quan, on the other hand, completely relaxed his body. The proficiency gained from the system lottery has made Li Quan very skilled in controlling the double-handed technique. By analogy, he now has some experience in controlling his body. However, this ability may be related to the system. Because he knew very well that he did not have such a strong understanding. That's right, Li Quan is pretending at this moment. He was not expecting Orochimaru to appear. But Li Quan is very curious about Orochimaru. I'm not curious about Orochimaru himself, but about his family background. At this time, Orochimaru had not yet defected. The open laboratory was closed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. But this guy has a secret laboratory. The instruments inside would bring in a considerable fortune just by selling them. Not to mention the research data on Hashirama's cells. If other people knew about this, and it might eventually lead to something like immortality, a lot of people would definitely go crazy. And now, Li Quan also wants to test his own strength through Orochimaru. Through Orochimaru's knife move and his current speed, Li Quan has already determined Orochimaru's physical ability. In terms of strength and speed alone, I can crush them all. As for Orochimaru, the best outcome would be to make him disappear completely. Before he becomes fully powerful, he will not allow any factors that may threaten him to stay. He pretended to be tricked just to avoid alerting the village. Squinting his eyes, Li Quan estimated the distance from the village at this moment. 2 kilometers is still not far enough. If a battle between J.A. Nin is to go undetected, the distance would have to be at least 5 kilometers. Time passes by every second. Standing on the branch, Orochimaru suddenly stopped. Then his body turned into a piece of wood. Ninjutsu, substitution technique. Standing on the branch, Li Quan opened his eyes and shook his head helplessly. As expected of Konoha-sunin, you are really sharp. With emotion, he looked at a branch not far away, on which stood Orochimaru, wearing an off-white robe and a dark blue belt. But at this moment, Orochimaru's condition is not very good. Because one of his arms was hanging down weakly at this moment. Who are you? Looking at the child in front of him, Orochimaru stared in horror. It seemed as if he wanted to see through the child in front of him. In just a moment of contact, he felt a strange energy that he had never seen before. Then he clamped Li Quan's right arm and broke it. The bones were broken into pieces. Without a hand, he couldn't quickly form seals and use ninjutsu, so his combat power would be reduced by at least 30%. I am Li Quan, who else could it be? Li Quan smiled and raised his right hand in amazement. Looking at Orochimaru like this, his guess seems to be successful. The double hands is a magical skill that controls the concept of life. Not only can it repair the body, it can also destroy it. In this way, he would have means of attack other than physical skills. Moreover, the means of destruction consume very little chi. It's totally possible to fight a protracted war. Impossible, you absolutely cannot be that little devil. On the other side, Orochimaru shouted firmly. How could a 5-year-old child have such a terrifying ability? Oh no, this guy is a spy who infiltrated Konoha. And it is very likely that he is a cage-level warrior just like Hanzo of the Salamander. The moment the thought came to Orochimaru, he immediately began to flee. At the same time, he began to form seals with one hand while fleeing. Oh, so cowardly. Seeing this scene, Quan's eyes widened in surprise. The Orochimaru in his impression was not such a coward. That kind of arrogance and fearlessness. The one who led the Sound Village and overturned Konoha's momentum is completely different from the current Orochimaru. Complaints are complaints. Quan immediately chased after him. Orochimaru looked scared, but he wasn't going to let this matter go so easily. He now has no idea why Orochimaru wanted to capture him. Since we have the ability, we can solve all the threats at once. Besides, there were no outsiders around, so he had no scruples at all. Bang! The tree trunk under his feet suddenly exploded, and Quan's body was shot out like a cannonball. In just 7 or 8 seconds, he caught up with Orochimaru. Then, he punched him. I felt an extreme sense of oppression behind me. Orochimaru immediately turned around and blew out a whirlwind from his mouth. Senti. Great breakthrough. The wind was raging so hard that Quan's body was blown away in midair. However, after hitting the tree, Quan kicked back and broke the tree. His body instantly shifted away from the tornado, and he continued to chase it. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru's pupil shrank and he almost stumbled. Although this is a C-rank ninjutsu, when used by an elite JA nin like him, it is stronger than the average A-rank ninjutsu. This person actually didn't even have a single injury. How to fight this? What the hell, what kind of person did I provoke? How come he has never heard of a person with such a strong body in the ninja world? With a ruthless heart, he immediately took out a scroll. Ninja technique, psychic summoning technique. Boom. A burst of smoke passed by, and a huge blue-black python emerged from under his feet. Master Wan Shi, please help me. I will definitely offer you a sacrifice afterwards. Orochimaru, you are going backwards. You summoned me just for this little brat. Manshi glanced at Orochimaru with disdain, not even realizing that he was a summoned beast. He has horns. If it weren't for the contract, he wouldn't even want to bother with Orochimaru. Seeing the snakes not even looking at him, Quan became even more excited. You won't know whether you can win until you fight. But he was confident that he could blow up this long insect. You are the 10,000 snakes from the Longdi cave, right? If you can take action, stop talking and come on. Having said that, Quan rushed over. Sensing Quan's speed, Wan Shi's pupils suddenly turned into vertical pupils. This little human is so fast. Before Wan Shi could react, the small fist hit him directly on the forehead. What followed was a series of bombardments. Bang bang bang, the violent fist shadow instantly frightened Orochimaru. In just a few blinks of an eye, the thousands of snakes suddenly turned into smoke and disappeared. When he left, Wan Shi was still cursing. Quan, on the other hand, stretched his whole body to feel relaxed. Wan Shi is really tough. With the sandbag, he didn't have to use much force and the surrounding environment was not destroyed. And through this action, he also had a clearer understanding of his own strength. Perhaps, his current combat capability is comparable to that of Might Guy who has opened 6 or 7 doors. In fact, I might even be stronger. Because my body has no burden at all. Orochimaru, let's settle the score. Looking over with a smile, Quan clenched his fist and punched without hesitation. This punch woke Orochimaru from his daze and made him completely give up the idea of a euro escaping. The flash of red energy immediately blocked all his meridians. At the same time, cracks appeared in his bones all over his body. Although he could still transform into a snake and escape, he had not yet fully learned the art of controlling a giant snake. But what horrified him was that this child actually used his body to conduct experiments. Under the flow of the red energy, his body was sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes strong, sometimes weak. He seemed to have become a ball of clay that could be changed at will. The painful wails startled countless birds. After a while, Quan seemed to get tired of playing and stopped. And Orochimaru's body, at this moment, returned to its original appearance. Don't have any evil thoughts. You should know that I have the ability to kill you completely. However, Orochimaru knelt down at this moment. His eyes were filled with desire. Sir, what kind of ninjutsu is that? I want to learn it. Chapter 16. In the woods more than 10 kilometers away from the back mountain of Konoha village. Seeing Orochimaru's sudden behavior, Quan was a little confused. How much of a shock was this to Orochimaru? Is your brain confused? He had clearly made his attitude clear just now. He never took Orochimaru's life seriously. After all, Orochimaru had a great influence on the subsequent events during the Fourth Ninja World War. That was more than 10 years from now. By then, Quan estimated, he would be able to walk sideways in the Hokage world. If the chi in his body had not been almost consumed, he would not be able to continue the experiment. Plus he wanted to know where Orochimaru's laboratory was. He would have killed Orochimaru long ago. After all, Hokage is a world where people kill without blinking an eye. Death is a common occurrence in this world. In order to live a good life, even if he has never killed anyone, Quan is prepared to force himself to accept this kind of thing in the future. As for teaching Orochimaru both hands? Haha, that's even more impossible. Teach your apprentice to starve himself to death. Besides, Orochimaru will do something like killing his master in the future. Although Orochimaru killed 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, there may be other reasons. But Li Quan doesn't want to be stabbed in the back by his apprentice one day. I'm not interested. Shaking his head, he picked up Orochimaru and dropped him to the ground. But Orochimaru still didn't give up at this moment. Just now, he felt the secret of immortality from Li Quan's mysterious ninjutsu. Rub his body to destroy it at will, and then repair it. Destroy it again and repair it again. This is a method that is almost divine, just like creation. This is immortality. Isn't immortality just eternal life? Moreover, under Li Quan's ninjutsu, the hidden injuries in his body over the years, coupled with the transformation he had done to his body, were all reversed. As a result, some of the ninjutsu he learned in the Ryokai cave were no longer usable. But Orochimaru could obviously feel it. His body was filled with a lot more vitality. This is not much different from Tsunade's terrifying recovery ability. He even had a feeling. The effect of Hashirama's cells may not be as good as Li Quan's. With this kind of ability, Li Quan's identity cannot be a simple person at all. Maybe the little ghost in front of me is the legendary sage of 6 paths. What's so shameful about taking such a person as your teacher? This is clearly my chance. An opportunity that is closest to the secret of eternal life. Next to Orochimaru. Li Quan glanced at the surrounding environment, frowned and asked, "How far is this place from your laboratory?" "Teacher is really amazing, you actually know all this." Hearing Li Quan's question, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly widened. But when he heard the changed name, Li Quan suddenly felt a little regretful. Why am I so cheap? In order to test the ability of the double hands, he actually refurbished the body of this creature. Judging from the situation, Orochimaru must have misunderstood something. And this shameless look. Is this still the cold and gloomy snake auntie? It feels a bit like the Boruto story, where he lets himself go. Could it be that Orochimaru is always like this? Don't call me teacher. I'm just a child. I can't teach a genius like you. Shaking his head, Li Quan continued, besides, I'm not really interested in being your teacher. But at this moment, his thoughts on killing Orochimaru had already disappeared. Because he found that bringing Orochimaru under his command would bring much more benefits than killing him. At least, Orochimaru can do ninja missions. This is much safer and more secretive than his secret medical beauty business. And the money keeps coming in. As long as he could draw the blue hand with both hands, he wouldn't be afraid of Orochimaru's betrayal at all. You know, one of Blue Hand's abilities is to modify cognition. With his control in the future, major events in the Hokage world will not change much. By then, I will unify the ninja world. Just thinking about it makes Li Quan's scalp tingle. It seems that I have one more goal for the future. On the side, Orochimaru had a look of doubt in his eyes. Li Quan actually said he was a genius? Orochimaru believes that he is quite talented in ninjutsu. But he doesn't think he is a genius. Otherwise, after studying for so long, he wouldn't have not come up with any results yet. Could it be that this immortal knew his future achievements? He is indeed an immortal, he is omnipotent. I'm afraid this immortal knows all my secrets. He failed to master the White Snake Immortal Sage Jutsu. Then he must not miss the inheritance of the Sage of 6 Paths. As for what Li Quan said about the child, Orochimaru didn't believe it at all. Which child has the ability to beat the elite JA? Nin and the Fairyland summoned beasts? Even he had to call Sir in front of Wan Shi. But Wan Shi was beaten and ran away. Apart from the immortals in the 3 immortal lands and the legendary 6 paths, who else has this kind of strength? Please accept me as your student. From now on, I will do my best to fulfill your orders without hesitation. Looking at Orochimaru kneeling again, Li Quan narrowed his eyes. At this moment, he thought for a long time and thought a lot. The benefits of taking Orochimaru as an apprentice are too great. So big that he didn't want to refuse at all. In fact, Li Quan has now figured out why Orochimaru became his disciple. It is nothing more than linking the power of the Shuangchuan hands with eternal life. As for other misunderstandings? Then let this guy misunderstand. Misunderstanding that you are a strong person also has many benefits. At the very least, accepting him as a disciple would temporarily prevent Orochimaru from having any rebellious thoughts towards him. When I draw the blue hand, then Orochimaru won't have any control over it. Li Quan waved his hand in disdain and said, I never accept disciples, the students you mentioned. But judging from you, you have learned Sage Jutsu from White Snake, right? After a pause, he continued, you can work for me temporarily and be a registered disciple. What happens next will depend on your performance. After saying that, Li Quan took a step in the direction Orochimaru had gone before. Without a doubt, that direction should be Orochimaru's newly built laboratory. And Orochimaru's face lit up with joy. Hurrying to catch up with Li Quan, he said with a smile, Teacher, I have a request, I hope you can help me. If you have something to say, just say it. Glancing at Orochimaru, Li Quan said coldly. Teacher, can you revive my apprentice Shenshu? Didn't you study the reincarnation of the dead? Don't you know the price of resurrecting the dead? Li Quan frowned and glared at him. After becoming my disciple, he still tested me. Sure enough, he is quite cunning. But isn't this too direct? Okay, take me to your laboratory and I'll unlock the seal on your body in a moment. As for whether or not to revive Senju Rope Tree, it depends on your performance in the future. A little after 2 in the afternoon. At this time, Li Quan had returned home. He really couldn't revive the rope tree now. But that doesn't mean he can't do it in the future. After all, he is a man with a system. Who knows what magical things he will draw in the future. But Li Quan did not return empty-handed. After visiting Orochimaru's laboratory, his interest was somewhat lacking. Moreover, he really couldn't accept the smell of a dead person. So, he left early. But Orochimaru didn't know what was wrong with him. When he was leaving, he actually stuffed a box of money into his pocket. He hasn't checked the exact amount yet. But I feel that with this amount, it's still okay to draw a few prizes. But the sparrow outside the window is very annoying. Chapter 17. Chapters uploaded in the wrong order. Sorry, the sparrow outside the house came to the window again shortly after Li Quan returned home. So the sparrow did not see him returning with the cash box. But Li Quan was very unhappy. Being stared at all the time would make anyone happy. But he still didn't know who this person was. Orochimaru might know, but in order to maintain his image as a strong man, he did not speak. Orochimaru is a smart man. The few pieces of information he had told Orochimaru before were more than enough. If he said a few more things, Orochimaru would probably be able to guess some of his background. So Li Quan chose to stop. As for that sparrow-like bird outside? Well, after careful consideration, Li Quan chose to ignore it. After 2 days of normal life, I broke the dishes and chopsticks several times intentionally or unintentionally. And after leaving marks on some wooden furniture, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. The sparrow finally flew away. Li Quan had a rough guess about the identity of the sparrow. Anbu member sent by Sarutobi Hiruzen. After all, apart from the third Hokage's son, he hasn't offended anyone else recently. And he didn't doubt a thing. That is, if he had Chakra, the third generation would immediately collect his Chakra and then use the telescope technique to spy on him. Third generation is a mixed bag of people. Good things about this person. He really cares about the development of Konoha village. But the bad thing is that this guy cares too much about the development of Konoha village, so much so that his concern has become distorted. Then this guy did a lot of beastly things in secret. This guy knew about Hashirama's cell experiment but didn't stop it. This guy condoned everything Denzo did in secret. Although her attitude towards Naruto later was gentle, her actions were laughable. While holding the inheritance of Minato Namikaze, he used the identity of Naruto Jinchuriki to divert the villagers' hatred towards Kurama for destroying the village. He even had Uchiha attack and massacre the entire clan. Then, the Sarutobi clan became the largest clan in Konoha village. Not to mention the 2 classes taught by Asuma Sarutobi and Yahai Kurane later. 6 people, all descendants of Konoha's great families. For a period of time, Asuma worked as a bodyguard for the daimyo of the Land of Fire to gild himself. The more I think about it, the less I dare to imagine it. So Li Quan doesn't like Sarutobi Hiruzen very much. As for the Will of Fire, he didn't care at all. It was originally a very good concept, advocating unity and inheritance. But how has it been twisted now? Look at how Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui have been brainwashed. Unity means genocide? And let the tribesmen do it themselves? Think about China, where so many ethnic groups can live together. Konoha is so big that it can't accommodate one Uchiha. What a joke. The Will of Fire has changed since 2nd generation. 3rd generation is a master of all trades. Speaking of which, the 3rd generation openly began to test the power of the Will of Fire by using public opinion to kill Konoha White Fang, Hatake Sakumo. The interests of the village are above all else. The primary goal of a ninja is to complete the mission. In order to save his companions, the mission failed and Hatake Sakumo couldn't stand the public opinion and committed suicide. Wow, this brainwashing method is simply amazing. What the hell? Thinking of Hatake Sakumo, Li Quan suddenly jumped up. Kakashi was a first-year student and became a genin after graduation. In the same year, Hatake Sakumo committed suicide. That is, this year. Perhaps I need to get in touch with this genius father. This person is the strongest person in Konoha village who is closest to the level of Kage. If he hadn't died, the next Hokage might not have been Minato Namikaze. If a real fight breaks out, I'm afraid even Minato Namikaze wouldn't be a match. Unfortunately, I have no background or family. Then, he was killed by the old guy Hiruzen and a group of Konoha high-ranking officials. Moreover, Shimura Denzo, the scapegoat for thousands of years, probably played a huge role in this. After all, the old guy Denzo has been coveting the position of Hokage for many years. If something can threaten Denzo's becoming Hokage, this scapegoat will definitely not turn a blind eye. Now, he has taken Orochimaru under his command. Then adding Hatake Sakumo shouldn't be a big problem, right? Putting his thoughts aside, Li Quan lay down on the bed and fell asleep. He is not sure yet whether the sparrow has left. If I suddenly come back and bump into him while drawing the lottery, the money can be easily explained. But it's hard to say about money that suddenly disappears. And these 2 days, Orochimaru was studying so hard that he forgot to eat and sleep. Before Li Quan left, he gave him some advice. This made him suddenly realize. He has always studied technology and ninjutsu separately. Although the ideas are combined, I still can't get the point. However, Li Quan's words about scientific ninja tools directly opened the door to a new world for him. Ninja tools that can use Chakra might help him solve the problem of Hashirama's cell fusion. After all, there is a large amount of Chakra in Hashirama's cells. Using Chakra as a medium, it might really have miraculous effects. Perhaps Li Quan did not expect that his casual remark would directly improve the medical level in the ninja world. So much so that later he was surprised. This is of course a later story. After reading several scrolls, Orochimaru muttered to himself. I don't know if master likes my gift. Glancing in the direction of Konoha village, he smiled happily. Actually, what he wanted to pursue most at the beginning was the perfection of ninjutsu. Later, it turned into an understanding of the world. But after experiencing the baptism of war, it eventually turned into a pursuit of eternal life. Now that he sees hope, how could he not be happy? As for Li Quan's lack of money, he inferred it from his handwritten memory. It's funny to say that the sage of 6 paths, who has lived for 1,000 years, would actually treat an ordinary person for a few bowls of ramen. Really interesting. But Orochimaru felt that this might be a form of practice. After all, they are all immortals. If they want to go further, the method of cultivation must be more special. Li Quan had no idea about Orochimaru's Daihua. Another day passed. After confirming that there was no line of sight surveillance for the whole day, he could not wait to open the box given by Orochimaru. As an elite JA Nin, Snake has completed countless ninja missions. A suitcase and 100 taels of cash, probably about 2 or 300,000. After opening the box, Li Quan was overjoyed. That green bill almost blinded his eyes. He had never seen so many banknotes in his previous life, and they were all 1,000 taels of banknotes. Although the number is not large, only more than 20 dozen. But if you calculate carefully, it's probably about 200,000 or 300,000. But compared with Orochimaru's identity, this seems a little inconsistent. More than 200,000, isn't that too little? However, Li Quan's mind was still very clear, and he soon understood the reason. Is this probably the only thing Orochimaru has left after purchasing the experimental equipment? This disciple is a little too sincere. System, use this money to draw a lottery. Consumption of money, 200,000 taels as the banknotes in front of him disappeared, the familiar 10-second countdown began. Not long after, the words in front of me and the voice in my ears sounded at the same time. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the skill, Wudang Tai Chi. Given that the host had previous university study experience, the initial proficiency is 25%, a small success. Looking at the lottery results, Li Quan immediately recalled the days when he learned Tai Chi in physical education class in college. Then, the corners of his mouth twitched. Even with his half-baked level, he could still be rewarded with 25% proficiency. I guess Teacher Ma's Tai Chi is better than his. The system really takes good care of him. Chapter 18. The order of the chapters uploaded was wrong. Chapters 17 and 18 were re-uploaded, and one more chapter was uploaded today. The mountain behind the village is the base of Konoha Anbu. Shimura Denzo has been in a state of panic these past 2 days. Because he was cleaning up other people's messes again. But unlike last time, this time he roughly guessed who was doing it. The traces left by the crawling were obviously from Orochimaru's summoning beast. But Orochimaru still understood. It's impossible for this guy to use the spirit beast for no reason. Then there is only one result. Orochimaru and others had a fight here. As the leader of the route, the head of Konoha's most advanced intelligence department, he actually doesn't know who the other person is. Moreover, he personally went to find Orochimaru, but this guy didn't tell him. This made Denzo very angry. Orochimaru, it seems, is no longer under his control. This guy is just like that hypocritical guy Hiruzen, and is not easy to deal with. This also made him connect another matter. Could the guy who attacked in the back mountain for the first time be the one who fought against Orochimaru? If that's the case, then he has to pay close attention to Orochimaru. Ichiraku Ramen Restaurant in Konoha Village. A very beautiful lady came to the handmade shop. This one is my new girlfriend, Takeda Hajiki. As an ordinary genin, Takeda Hajiki, like Might Dai, does D-level tasks in the village to support his family. However, after getting rid of this boyfriend, her life temporarily stabilized. After all, ninja missions are not always available. And she has already planned to marry Shouda soon. But the majestic figure she saw last night really left her with an endless aftertaste. After using special means to make Shouda surrender, she finally found out the reason why Shouda suddenly became stronger. Out of curiosity, she came to the handmade noodle shop to see the little boy. As for Shouda, he looked proudly at the men who were eating ramen and puffed out his chest. He hit his hands and stood up. Look at these guys, they showed envy when they saw Yayu's obedient attitude towards him. It's a secret pleasure to type it by hand. All this is thanks to that kid Li Quan. If it weren't for that kid, how could he be so arrogant in front of Takeda Hajiki? But Yayu is still too amazing. After all, he is a ninja. It is estimated that in half a month, his waist, as an ordinary person, will be sprained again. By the way, why hasn't that kid Li Quan come today? Without photos, his headline-grabbing plan is not very convincing. And in your own home. At this moment Li Quan is experimenting with his second skill, Wudang Tai Chi. With the integration of the system, his mastery of Tai Chi has become terrifying. Moreover, Li Quan was surprised to find that this Kung Fu was not just a simple martial art, but a method of cultivation. Its mental method can refine more Qi in the body. That's cool. But soon, Li Quan discovered how difficult it was to refine Qi. During this morning, the Qi in his body increased a little bit. 0.1 cup of water. This is not as much as the Qi he obtained after using the red hand body refining technique. Li Quan actually doesn't care. What made him happiest was not that he had acquired this cultivation method. It's the control brought by Wudang Tai Chi. Now, he finally doesn't have to worry about accidentally breaking the dishes. After integrating Wudang Tai Chi, his control over strength reached the level where he could control it freely. This is what helped him the most. After being able to control his strength freely, he no longer had to worry about the risk of being accidentally exposed. Speaking of being exposed, Tsunade should have noticed it that day. But why didn't Tsunade come to find me? Is this woman's curiosity so low? Boom boom boom. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the door. Looking at the damaged and somewhat messy house, Li Chuan frowned. The house needs to be repaired, otherwise other people will know some of his secrets. Let the envious sparrow see it. He did that on purpose in order to complete his mission to join the ninja school. But after that, he planned to spend his school life in peace and stability. Who is it? Mr. Li Chuan, it's me, Nohara Linear. Hearing that gentle voice, Li Chuan immediately smiled happily. Speaking of which, I haven't really developed any relationship with these little girls in the past 2 days. It's time to move. Thinking about it, he walked out of the gate of opening, and then his expression suddenly changed. Uchiha Obito is actually also here. Li Chuan, I have good news for you. On the side, Nohara Lin smiled happily. This made Li Chuan wonder. What good news could make Lin smile so happily? And Obito shrank his neck. Just now, he actually felt a sense of oppression from Li Chuan. He seemed to have only seen this kind of oppressive feeling in some nin in the tribe. But then, he suddenly shook his head. Impossible. Li Chuan is 5 years old like him, how could he be so strong? It's already amazing that he can defeat Asuma. It must have been my illusion just now. Humph, the supplementary list is out, and your name is on it. Although he didn't quite understand why Obito suddenly felt resentful towards him. But this news is indeed good news. It's just a system task, why hasn't it been shown completed? Don't want to think about it anymore. Li Chuan smiled slightly and waved his hand, I'm happy today, I'll treat you. Not long after, Li Chuan and the other two arrived at another food restaurant in Konoha village, Ganli Gan. Ganli Gan is a place in Konoha village that sells desserts. By the way, it was here that he and Yahai Kurane first met. This is also the place where the female ninjas of Konoha relax. At this moment, Uchiha Mikoto, Nara Yoshino, and Uzumaki Kushina were chatting and laughing. Li Chuan naturally knew these women with family backgrounds. However, his sight fell on Tsunade who had long golden hair. I didn't expect that Tsunade, who is of a different generation from her, is actually close friends with these people. That's right, although Tsunade is 30 years old now. But the Senjo clan has that terrifying recovery ability and that miraculous medical skill. Tsunade looks to be about 20 years old. Mr. Li Chuan, you are here. Beside Tsunade, Shizun smiled weakly and greeted Li Chuan. And Tsunade's gaze also looked over at this moment. It's this kid. Tsunade's smile froze a little with a sudden shudder. She didn't know how to face this little boy who looked somewhat like her younger brother. But the little boy's strength and secrets really made her curious. So these few days, she has been thinking about how to get in touch with this pervert. Unexpectedly, we met face to face today. On the side, Obito had a pig-like look on his face. Is this Tsunade-sama, one of the legendary Sunin? So beautiful. Nohara Lin lowered her head, looked at her undeveloped breasts, and fell into deep thought. Does Li Chuan like this? It seems I have to ask Lady Tsunade how to grow a healthy body. Shizun, you are here too. Li Chuan was not timid. Tsunade seemed to have developed some interest in him. But his mental quality is still very good. Let's establish the child's personality first. It won't be too late to contact Tsunade when there are fewer people around. Your name is Li Chuan. Suddenly, a strange light appeared in Tsunade's eyes. Chapter 19. Outside Ganligan shop. Looking at Li Chuan in front of her, Tsunade couldn't believe it. Li Chuan had seen it when she was little. She still remembers that hideous scar vividly. By the way, the mask that Li Chuan usually wears was made by someone else. But now, he didn't notice anything unusual. Tsunade-sama, I think I'm the only one with this name in the village. Li Chuan smiled and nodded. Then he subconsciously lowered his eyes. Men always have lower standards. Hey, this little pervert. He has been like this since he was young. It will be hard for him to find a wife in the future. Uchiha Mikoto smiled and looked at Tsunade and Li Chuan jokingly. It seems like these two, one big and one small, have a secret. At a time like this, it would be unreasonable not to eat some gossip about your good sisters. The other two women also looked over at this moment. Go away, go away. With your big mouths, what secrets can you hide? Maybe in a few days, everyone in the village will know it. Tsunade waved her hands hastily, interrupting her girlfriends who were about to delve further into the matter. At the beginning, she promised Li Quan's parents that she would never tell anyone about Li Quan's disfigurement. Why is this brat's look the same as Jiraiya's, so annoying. You guys go home first, I'll talk to this kid. 10 minutes later. On a remote street, only Tsunade and Li Chuan were left. This time Li Chuan didn't spend any money. Tsunade generously treated several children to a variety of desserts. Then he asked Nohara Lin to take Shizun out to play. And she came here with Li Chuan. Last time, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Looking at Li Chuan nervously, Tsunade twisted her fingers unconsciously. When facing Li Chuan, she always felt like she was facing her younger brother Shangshu. This feeling made her feel extremely guilty. Li Chuan shook his head. Although there was some unpleasantness between the two of them when they met last time, he didn't think there was anything wrong. After all, I was taken advantage of. And what woman wouldn't be angry if she was taken advantage of by someone she didn't know? At that time, he didn't understand Tsunade's behavior. It felt like something had happened to him. Lady Tsunade, you are not here to apologize to me, right? After asking the question in his mind, he looked over. At this moment, Li Chuan suddenly felt the joy of being a child. This height difference seems pretty good. Looking up, you will see a majestic scene. In fact, we've met before. Because her vision was blocked, Tsunade did not see Li Quan's lustful eyes. As she was considering what to say, Tsunade was suddenly stunned. This pervert is getting too close, isn't he? Lifting Li Chuan with one hand, she squinted and glared at him. Little devil, be careful or I'll beat you up. Li Chuan just smiled awkwardly and nodded quickly. Tsunade's attraction to men is like an oversized magnet. He is a young man at heart and he simply cannot control himself. If she wasn't so young, he would have chased her directly. But Tsunade said she had seen him, how come he didn't know? Was it during my infancy? His memory of that time was a little vague. Actually, I came to see you this time because I wanted to see the wound on your face. Putting down Li Chuan, Tsunade suddenly spoke. It turns out that the wound at that time contained a deadly poison. If it weren't for her subsequent rescue, the kid probably wouldn't have survived. She was really helpless as the wound had to heal. Li Quan's injury had been delayed for too long, and the wound had already formed a scar. Well, now it was Li Quan's turn to be nervous. He has healed the scars, and showing them to Tsunade would only expose the secret. By the way, how did Tsunade know about the scar on his face? With Tsunade's identity, her parents, I'm afraid. It seems like we can really make contact. Judging from age, my parents and Tsunade seem to be classmates. Tsunade might really be aware of my situation. Why doesn't Tsunade heal herself? Is it due to lack of ability or is it intentional? As if he had let it go, he looked at the sky and said with a sunny smile, that Tsunade-sama, I'm used to it. It's not necessary. I don't think it's a habit. Have you recovered? However, Tsunade suddenly smiled mysteriously at this moment. She also has her sources of intelligence. The last 3 children I interacted with before closing the shop that day were Li Chuan, Nohara Lin, and Yahai Kurane. After the result, the hand typing was restored. She hadn't seen Li Chuan for a long time, so she didn't recognize him. But after knowing Li Quan's name, she discovered that Li Chuan was not wearing that special ninja mask. Then she had a guess. Master Tsunade, stop joking. How can I have that kind of ability? He smiled wryly and shook his head. But Li Chuan was confused. How did Tsunade know? He had only treated the patient once with hand beating. Could it be that through the beating, the woman knew about it? Isn't Tsunade a little too smart? As expected, she is the woman who will be the Hokage in the future. So amazing. I don't know who will be able to conquer this shrewd woman in the future. Oh, really? Tsunade raised her eyebrows and suddenly stretched out her hand. But Li Chuan dodged the pinch. Tsunade-sama, this is not very kind of you, is it? Looking at Tsunade in front of him, Li Chuan narrowed his eyes. He had already revealed his strength in front of Tsunade before. It doesn't matter if I expose myself more now. But he didn't want to tell anyone the secret of Shuangquanshao for the time being. Orochimaru was able to keep his mouth shut because he misunderstood his own identity, but Tsunade in front of him. Li Chuan really didn't know how to face it. Maybe more reasons are due to reluctance. You do have a secret. Looking at Li Chuan, Tsunade's eyes widened. Among the Konoha Sunin, her strength is not the strongest. But it is still stronger than the average elite JA. Nin. But Li Chuan, this pervert, managed to dodge twice by relying on his speed. This kind of strength is probably comparable to JA. Nin. Lady Tsunade, if you do that again, I'll be angry. Besides, this is inside the village. If we attract others, it will be bad for both you and me, right? Looking at Tsunade with full vigilance, Li Chuan assumed a Tai Chi stance. Not letting Tsunade take off the mask seems to be a cover-up, but not letting Tsunade know the details is a tacit understanding. With Tsunade's intelligence, she should be able to see it. He doesn't want others to know his secret. Tsunade-sama, I will be leaving first then. Seeing that Tsunade didn't move for a long time, Li Chuan asked tentatively. But Tsunade still didn't answer. So Li Chuan just slipped away. Are you kidding me? If you don't run away at this time, are you waiting to expose more secrets? They are all smart people, I think Tsunade will not leak her information. He didn't believe that Tsunade was such a smart woman and didn't know something about Sarutobi Hiruzen's behavior. I'm afraid he doesn't want to express his opinion because of the relationship between master and disciple. In the afternoon, Li Chuan went to the ninja school and received his admission documents. But just after he received the information, he met a few acquaintances again. Asking for gifts and attention, thank you. Chapter 20. Ninja School Playground. Looking at the familiar figure, Li Chuan raised his eyebrows. Unexpectedly, it was Lao Ma. Seeing Asuma Sarutobi still doing his own thing, Li Chuan didn't want to cause any trouble. But Lao Ma still kept pestering Yahai Kurane. Li Chuan couldn't stand this any longer. Not to mention the conditions of the previous challenge, just as a good friend, Li Chuan would never let Yahai Kurane live a widow's life in the future. Therefore, it would be better for Yahai Kurane not to have any contact with Asuma. Having a systematic self is the final destination of Yohai. Thinking about this, Li Chuan walked straight over. Asuma, I haven't seen you for a few days. Have you forgotten our previous agreement? Hearing this familiar voice, Asuma's body suddenly trembled. This is impossible. He had clearly told his father not to allow Li Chuan to enroll in school. His father had clearly agreed to his request, so why did Li Chuan come to collect the admission documents? When his father promised him, he was excited all night. Today he didn't even glance at the supplementary list. But, looking at the file bag in Li Quan's hand, Asuma Sarutobi's neck suddenly shrank. Li Chuan, I didn't forget, I was just joking with Hong. He explained stutteringly. Asuma distanced herself from Li Chuan. He was traumatized by Li Chuan. Especially the last punch from Li Chuan, which caused him to lose consciousness due to the pain. Although my brother said that he was the one who took the final step. But he still believed in his feelings. Snort. Li Chuan, just wait for me. When I become a ninja, I will make you look bad. Oh, are you kidding? Protecting Yohai behind him, Li Chuan looked over with a half smile. He could still see the hatred in Asuma's eyes. But so what? As a cheater, in this world where you can't stand out without cheats and bloodlines, Li Chuan is no longer afraid of those cage-level ninjas. How could he possibly care about Asuma, who wasn't even a genin? In just 2 or 3 days, the gap between the two people's levels had widened like an inconceivable chasm. In his opinion, Asuma's behavior was purely overestimating his own abilities. Considering the child's status, he didn't bother to care. Since you are joking, I will take Hong away. Having said that, Li Chuan took Yohai hand and left the playground under Asuma's murderous gaze. Not far away, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was observing secretly, cursed. You don't even dare to fight back, what a loser. He muttered to himself, cursing him for not fighting back. It seems that Shinigami is a more suitable candidate for the next generation of Hokage. We should transfer Shinigami from Anbu as soon as possible. However, after Shinigami was transferred out, Anbu's staffing became even more tight. At that time, a group of ninjas will also be recruited. As he was thinking, Sarutobi Hiruzen's body disappeared into the darkness. Sarutobi Hiruzen always felt that this little guy Li Chuan had some other secrets. But after several days of surveillance, he really couldn't tell except that the power was greater and he couldn't control it freely. That's why what happened today happened. But he really didn't expect that Asuma's son didn't even have the courage to take action. Helplessly holding his forehead, he returned to the office. Intelligence is the lifeblood of a ninja. For a child like Li Chuan who is unstable but has the opportunity to become a helper to the village, the best way is to guide him with the will of fire. Rather than destroying it directly. It seems that we need to find a special ninja to be the teacher of this class of children. Someone, bring Aberame Yushu over here. The Aberame clan is the best at gathering intelligence. Aberame Yuki is a Chonin member of Anbu, although just a very ordinary Anbu member. It should be enough to teach these children knowledge and find out about their news at the same time. At the same time, Tsunade took Shizuan to Sarutobi Hiruzen's office. Tsunade had the intention to wander with Shizuan. The age of being silent is too young. With my current personality, let alone taking care of Jing-Ian, after getting drunk, I might even need Jing-Ian to take care of me. Not to mention my gambling habit. Who knows, Jing-Ian might be implicated because of this incident someday. After much thought, Tsunade decided to be a teacher in the ninja school for a while. After Shizuan becomes a genin and finds out about Li Chuan, leave the village to relax. Li Chuan was not clear about what kind of changes he had brought about. In the original plot, Tsunade was not so scrupulous. This year's ninja teacher is not from the Aberame clan. But even if he knew, Li Chuan wouldn't care. These are not big things in the Hokage world. The Third Ninja World War occurred several years later after Scorpion of the Red Sand killed the third-generation Kazekage. That seemed to be the 47th year of Konoha. In other words, he still has 4 years to practice. And the Akatsuki organization has not yet made a name for itself. Madara-sama was relying on the Gedo statue, lingering on near the Konobi bridge, creating white Zetsu. Black Zetsu is also beside Master Madara, lurking silently. For him, these are the important things he should care about. There is also the Aoite Satsuki clan, a race with gods who are also eyeing the Hokage world. So Li Chuan knew very well that he was still too weak. But now, he is playing with Yohai. Yohai, who was carefree, didn't notice Li Quan's mischief at the moment. Before they knew it, their faces were pressed together. Then, Hong ran back home shyly like a frightened deer. Standing at the door of Yohai house, Li Chuan smiled helplessly. It was a kiss on the cheek, that was definitely not a kiss, it was just a complete misunderstanding. Hong was startled, so he moved his face closer, and then their cheeks just touched each other lightly. For this, Li Chuan even stepped on a bug the size of a fingernail to death. It seems that there is still a long way to go to cultivate this relationship. Feeling emotional, he put his head in his hands and swaggered out of Yohai house. 2 days passed like this. The day for ninja school to start has finally arrived. That day, Li Chuan came to school early. He didn't get much rest because of this. There is no way, there are too many bugs around. As a result, he didn't have much energy these days and just used his hands to train his body. According to his guess, if he wanted to continue to refine his body, the amount of chi he would consume would probably be extraordinary. So he decided to try again after school started. The first task of the system has not yet been completed. It is very likely that he has not yet gone to school. After going to school, with the training gained from the mission rewards, I should be able to complete the body training several more times soon. By then, he would be able to defeat the cage level in terms of strength alone. I feel a little excited just thinking about it. Just as Li Quan walked into the classroom and sat down according to the assigned seat. Suddenly, that familiar voice appeared in Li Quan's mind. Mission completed, rewards being distributed, 10 years of cultivation have been distributed, total amount of qi, 3.6 cups of water. At the same time, a man wearing a beige robe and sunglasses appeared on the podium. Boom boom boom. Next to the podium, the man knocked on the blackboard and then smiled. Hello, students. I am your class teacher. In the next few years, I will teach you the most basic ninja knowledge so that everyone can graduate successfully and become a qualified genin. As he spoke, he wrote 4 characters on the blackboard. A bear may has a tree. Seeing the word a bear may, Li Quan suddenly narrowed his eyes and crushed a bug at hand. Chapter 21. In the classroom. Li Quan couldn't control his thoughts at all. No wonder there are so many bugs around him these days. It turns out to be the Aberme clan. But when did he get in touch with the Aberme clan? No, although he didn't have much impression of the names of this year's teachers, he still remembered their appearance. This hairstyle looks like a cartoon son, definitely not the original class teacher. It must be third generation's idea. After all, there are only a few people who pay attention to me. The only people who can replace the teachers of the ninja school at will are probably the third generation. It seems that the third generation still has doubts about themselves. Fortunately, the Aberme clan was chosen. Because of those nasty bugs these days, he didn't go to practice physical training. Otherwise, Red Hand's secret would probably be exposed. It seems that I have to squeeze out some of Orochimaru's value. If I accept him as a registered disciple, he must be useful. As for the sweet dates for Orochimaru. By the way, at this time, Orochimaru had not yet developed reincarnation. In this regard, he can give some reminders. Moreover, there is Jago who has the body of an immortal, Kimimaro who has the special blood limit, and Uzumaki Keiring who has the physique of a power bank. These can allow Orochimaru to make contact earlier. All you have to do is be a boss behind the scenes and help solve problems at critical moments. Next to the podium. Feeling that another insect had died, Aberme-yusha's mouth twitched. He has plenty of bugs on his body. But every time a bug searches for information, it is a rather special bug. It is not easy to cultivate this kind of insect. In the past 2 days, he has sent out all kinds of bugs that can detect information. However, no matter what, I always return empty-handed. This made Aberme-yusha very confused. Some bugs are so hard that even ninja tools can't kill them. How does this kid called Li Quan kill them so easily? And it can be found accurately every time. Can a child have this kind of ability and observation? The tasks given by the third generation seem to be somewhat difficult. No euro, he coughed twice, and this time he did not continue to send out insects, but said, the teachers have finished their introductions, so let's introduce ourselves. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer? Then, the scene suddenly turned cold. In the end, it was the lively Uchiha Obito who made a good start. Pushing the goggles on his forehead, Obito smiled brightly and said, Hello everyone, I'm Uchiha Obito, the person I like is Lin, and my dream is to become the next Hokage. Obito, you big idiot. Nohara Lin's face turned slightly red and she waved her hand hurriedly, and her eyes subconsciously glanced at Li Quan. Lin K doesn't care whether others misunderstand her or not. What she cares about is whether Li Quan has misunderstood. At this moment, Li Quan's face froze. Obito, this guy, suddenly did this to him, right? It seems that something happened after all. Obito forgot to get his admission information, so Lin helped this guy according to the original plot. But the way Lin looked at him made Li Quan very proud. Hehe, Obito, you like yours, but Lin is looking at me. But the children in the Hokage world are really precocious. Such a bold confession. Smiling at Nohara Lin, Li Quan gave Obito a warning fist. Lin breathed a sigh of relief, while Obito's neck shrank. This little episode didn't last long. As they walked side by side, Might Guy, Ebisu, and others introduced themselves one by one. Asuma Sarutobi stood up extremely arrogantly. I am Asuma from the Sarutobi clan. My father is the third Hokage. My dream is to become a great Hokage like my father. Ah, Asuma is a child of the third generation. No wonder Asuma is so powerful. Amid exclamations, Asuma sat on the chair with great enjoyment. Then he glared at Li Quan fiercely. It was as if he was saying, this is my background, who are you? Li Quan shook his head slightly. Asuma may be shooting himself in the foot this time. But this is also a good thing. It seems that it happened that after his identity was exposed, he couldn't stand others calling him the son of the third generation. Asuma began to change. Suddenly startled, Li Quan put away his thoughts. Asuma became attractive to Yahai Kurane after the change. Although the two of them being together is something for the future, they still need to be on guard. Then Kakashi's introduction attracted another wave of girls' attention. And Li Quan just stood up lazily. My name is Li Quan. What I want to do is to protect the people and things I love. My dream is to become a great Hokage like the first generation. No way. Li Quan suddenly realized that his understanding of the will of fire was still too conservative. The dream of every boy in the class is pretty much the same, they all want to become Hokage. Although there are fewer girls, the difference is not much. After everyone introduced themselves, Abara Mayuki started his first class. Explosion, flipping through the first page of the book. Li Chuan was shocked. Konoha character profile. The most powerful Hokage in Konoha's history, the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Tisk tisk this face, if we can have it, we'd better take some. Li Chuan recognized the third generation's political abilities, but their combat abilities. It would not be a problem for one Senju Hashirama to defeat 100 Hiruzen. How can this guy be so nice? In the afternoon, Li Chuan killed another insect casually. He looked at the woman on the playground who was laughing at him and his group of people. Isn't this a martial arts class? Why is Tsunade here? Shouldn't this woman be gambling all over Konoha? Why did you suddenly come to ninja school? Come to think of it, Li Chuan really wanted to get to know Tsunade. But after the 2 previous encounters, he no longer thought so. He is too young now. Not only was there no way anything could happen between him and Tsunade, but this woman's cleverness also made him feel a little resistant. He has a lot of secrets now. Now that this woman already knows something, if Tsunade continues to have contact with her, it won't be long before she can figure out his background. Unlike Orochimaru, the strong and generous Tsunade might have some interest in him. But I will never surrender or compromise with him for some reason. This was the main reason why he was unwilling to have any contact with Tsunade. I can't bear to kill it, but I can't tame it. And she is a shrewd adult woman, not as easy to fool as Yahai Kurane and the others. The best way is to keep your distance. Anyway, Tsunade has a secret to keep her youthful appearance, so it won't be too late to contact her once he becomes strong and reaches a certain age. But this time, Tsunade probably just came to see Shizuan. After all, Tsunade is the son of Konoha. And in his impression, Tsunade only accepted 2 disciples. He doesn't seem like the kind of person who likes to teach students. Suddenly, Tsunade came in front of everyone and introduced herself. Hello everyone, I'm Senju Tsunade, and I'll be your Taijutsu teacher for the next few days. If you have any questions, you can always come to me. Tsunade's appearance instantly attracted the attention of all the boys. At the same time, it also made all the little girls lower their heads. Might Guy was even more excited and started shouting. In response, Li Chuan shook his head helplessly. Tsunade's physical skills are strong because she is the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama, the pure successor of Aoi Tsutsuki bloodline. Might Guy is probably going to be disappointed if he wants to learn physical skills from Tsunade. But why does he feel that there is something wrong with Tsunade being the teacher? Alright, be quiet. Let the teacher test your skills first. Then, let's practice in pairs. Let me see if that's okay. Well. Looking at Tsunade who was smiling and nodding at him, Li Chuan scratched the back of his head. Oh no, Tsunade is coming for me. Brothers, please give me gifts, attention, and various data. There are still drafts, and I can add more when the data is ready. Chapter 22. I can't cure you, little guy. Looking at Li Chuan scratching his head, Tsunade raised her chin proudly. Just a pervert. As an elite JA Nin, she had plenty of ways to find out information about this brat. Give yourself some time, and know the mysterious medical method, isn't it easy? Besides, being a teacher for a while is a good opportunity for me to watch Jing Ian grow and relax, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Tsunade continued to add complacently, then I will randomly divide them into groups. Okay, okay. There was a special kind of excitement in the eyes of the little boys. Tsunade is one of the legendary Konoha Sunin. And with such a body, which little boy can resist it? At this moment, the little boys all wanted to perform well in front of Tsunade. Even Hotaki Kakashi, a man with cold and dead eyes, cast his gaze over there. At this time, Kakashi was not particularly lustful, but a very cold little boy. In the field, only Li Chuan and Shiranui Genma were not particularly enthusiastic. Genma Shiranui simply had no interest in anything. Li Chuan was thinking about what kind of strength he should reveal now. After all, he is a child now, and he entered the school after supplementary admission. To be an average kid and graduate successfully, and to be able to defeat Asuma Sarutobi, is actually a bit beyond his capabilities. Therefore, it would be best to use Asuma's combat power as the passing line. From now on, every performance will be a little bit better than that of old Ma Yi. Hehe. After making a plan, Li Chuan looked at Xi Rihong with a smile and said hello. This made Tsunade, who had already divided most of the people into groups, frown unconsciously. Is my charm now not as good as that of a little kid? Damn it. A trace of jealousy suddenly arose in her heart, and then Tsunade snorted coldly and looked at Li Chuan unhappily. Why doesn't this boy, who looks a bit like his younger brother in ways, look at himself? Rope tree. Muttering softly, Tsunade quickly came back to her senses. It seems that my concern for this little kid has a lot to do with my younger brother. Looking at the class list in her hand, the corners of her mouth curled up. Hotaki Kakashi, you should be in a group with Li Chuan. Ah, Tsunade-sensei, is this bad? Uchiha Obito was the first to step forward. Obito thinks Li Chuan is very strong, but compared to Kakashi, he thinks this cold guy Kakashi can beat Li Chuan. Out of concern for his friend, the kind-hearted man wanted Tsunade to find someone else. That's right, how can a guy with a poor entrance evaluation be a match for Kakashi? Master Tsunade, how about letting me come? A group of students started talking one by one. But almost no one is optimistic about Li Chuan. Even Yahai Kurane and Nohara Lin, who had witnessed Li Quan's attack before, became worried at this moment. Shizun even walked towards Tsunade and shook her head slightly. However, Asuma Sarutobi suddenly smiled happily at this moment. Asuma was very happy to see Li Chuan being humiliated, and he was even happier to see Li Chuan being beaten. Kakashi's strength is obvious to all. If it was Kakashi who fought him before, he would have been beaten even worse. Although Li Quan's last punch left him with a trauma, he had completely forgotten about it in the past 2 days. His brother told him about the scene that day and it was just an illusion of his. So he planned to practice hard in the future, and when he became powerful, he would come back to fight back. Now that he could see Li Chuan being beaten in advance, Asuma's eyes were already gleaming with excitement. Tsunade-sensei, let's start quickly. The other children didn't pay much attention to it, but Hong, Lin, and Obito all looked over. This guy Asuma actually did something bad at this time. The 3 people's impression of Asuma suddenly became worse. If Li Chuan knew what these 3 people were thinking, he would be very happy. This is the result of his long-term hard work. Among the players, the only ones who were optimistic about Li Chuan were Might Guy and Kakashi. Because of Li Quan's help, Might Kane has a certain understanding of Li Quan's strength. He felt that Li Chuan should be able to fight Kakashi. As for Kakashi, it was entirely because of his father's evaluation. Lifelong rival? With a strong fighting spirit in his eyes, he took out a kunao and asked Tsunade, Tsunade-sama, can I use ninjutsu and taijutsu? That depends on how far you can go. Tsunade did not give a clear answer. But the clever Hotaki Kakashi had already guessed something from these words. Lady Tsunade actually thinks that she is no match for Li Chuan. And this means that even if I try my best, I can't make Li Chuan take it seriously? Interesting. Inside the ninja office. At this moment, Abare Mayuaki really wanted to give Tsunade a big thumbs up. This gentleman's actions are helping him collect information about Li Chuan. The task suddenly became easier. This made Abare Mayusha very happy. But, is Kakashi alone enough? Every time, his own bugs were found accurately and crushed easily. The little guy may not understand yet. To be able to achieve this level, it is at least the ability of the top Chunin. Kakashi is strong, but he may not be strong enough to face Li Chuan. And on the playground. With Tsunade's arrangement, the list has been finalized. These children who have just entered school are all talented. But in reality, the only people who can really fight are those from a few big families. The Aberame clan's bugs, the Yamanaka clan's heart turning, the Nara clan's shadow control. They were all used in an orderly manner by the people of these tribes. Then in every battle, without exception, members of these big families won. It is indeed a world where bloodline is everything. Without any family secrets, the other children basically use turtle fist in fights. The fight can't really be called a fight, it's more like children playing house. As for Obito, Li Chuan really couldn't understand him. This guy's opponent is Might Guy. Currently, Might Guy has not yet learned the 8 Gates escape technique. As a member of the Uchiha clan, Obito actually lost. The title of the last one is indeed well deserved. But that's true, Obito is an orphan, even in the Uchiha clan, there is no one to teach him. Speaking of which, Konoha's orphans all seem to be quite strong. The prerequisite is that he is a guy with bloodline. And why did he feel that this scene was somewhat familiar? During the Chunin exam, this guy seemed to have been knocked unconscious by Might Guy's 2 kicks, right? Wow, that's interesting. Li Chuan, it will be your turn soon. Be careful when the time comes. At this moment, Yahai Kurane, who had just finished sparring, came over. The one practicing against Hong is Nohara Rin. Because they had known each other since childhood, the two did not fight each other. But more importantly, it is the thinking that Li Chuan has instilled in him since he was a child. He, Li Chuan, doesn't like girls who like to fight. Li Chuan nodded at the two of them and glanced at Jing Ian out of the corner of his eye. Although this little girl is 1 year older than him and the same age as Yahai Kurane, she has been through so much but is still very timid. It seems that he really wants to come over, but he just doesn't dare. My own efforts are still not enough. Li Chuan, Hotaki Kakashi, go public. On the playground, 2 children stopped and Tsunade looked at Li Chuan. Finally, I can see what secrets this little pervert has. Kakashi, please don't let me down. As the son of Konoha's White Fang Hotaki Sakumo, it would be shameful if he couldn't force this perverted brat to use half of his strength. Brothers, please give me all kinds of data, gifts, attention and urge me to update. Thank you. Chapter 23. On the playground. Following Tsunade's announcement, everyone's eyes looked over here. The first place in the entrance examination and the last place in the supplementary admission. There is no suspense in this battle no matter how you look at it. But the few people who knew some of the situation widened their eyes and stared at the two of them. And on a big tree not far away, a root member wearing a fox mask was also watching the scene. This root member is the same one from last time. The fox mask he wears has a 3-color pattern. Members of the root have no names, no past or future, and can only walk in the dark. The purpose is to make Konoha more prosperous. As an inconspicuous existence, he gave himself a code name, Xiao. Means the darkest night. Because of his good performance last time, Xiao was specially sent out by Danzo to continue collecting information about the new students. Want to join the roots? You must have the courage to enter the darkness. Xiao agrees with the ideas of 3rd generation and Danzo. Konoha has leaves bathing in the sun and jade representing the future, so it should also have roots in the darkness. If it weren't for the 3rd generation's philosophy, Konoha would not have been able to recover from the war so quickly. If it weren't for Danzo, Konoha wouldn't be so stable. In essence, everything is for Konoha. Go to the playground. Li Chuan showed an expression that looked a little scared, but he pretended to be strong. This time, he was preparing to establish his character again. A child who has awakened a special talent, whose fighting power is above Asuma Sarutobi and below Kakashi. He has only brute force but lacks combat experience. Then he lost to Kakashi and unfortunately lost. And you can't lose too miserably. Otherwise, how would Hong, Jing-Ian, and Lin view him? In the next few years, I worked hard, surpassed most of the kids, and successfully became a genin. By then, he should have become invincible through the rewards from Orochimaru's mission. With the ability, pretending to be cool and having fun is the right choice. My father said that you are very strong, so I will not hold back. At this moment, Kakashi took out a short sword and said very seriously. Li Chuan had never expected this scene. He and Hotaki Sakumo haven't even started dating yet, what the hell is this evaluation? And it seems that Tsunade has no intention of stopping it. This made Li Quan's expression change. The other children also noticed that something was wrong with the atmosphere at this moment. Isn't Kakashi's father Sakumo-senpai? Did I hear correctly? Senior White Fang actually said that Li Chuan is very strong. It must be fake. The group of children suddenly lost their composure. Tsunade was also quite surprised. Has Hotaki Sakumo already seen this pervert? This classmate who was born a month later than me is more dazzling than me. But being too dazzling and having no background may not necessarily be a good thing. Suddenly, Kakashi rushed towards Li Chuan holding the short sword. At this time, what Kakashi is best at is not various ninjutsu. Instead, he learned the swordsmanship from his father, Hotaki Sakumo. With the speed as fast as the wind, the knife seemed to turn into lightning and went straight to Li Quan's face. If it were any other child, they would have been frightened to death. But Li Chuan just casually took a step to the right and avoided the attack. However, Kakashi changed his tactics again and swung his sword. Li Quan's reaction was also to dodge. Just like that, Li Chuan dodged for more than a dozen times and suddenly created some distance. There is some trouble. Kakashi has a weapon in his hand, so if he takes the attack head-on, his body won't be afraid. But he doesn't want to be exposed. So he looked very embarrassed during these dodging attempts. But if Kakashi continues to persist, he will be exposed in front of Tsunade sooner or later. Once he strikes, if he fails to control the strength well, Kakashi might be killed directly. This makes it very difficult for him. Although I won Wudang Tai Chi in the lottery. But he still has too little combat experience. He can now control his strength and not break the dishes. But he wasn't sure how much force was needed to kill someone. No, in the next few days, I have to find Orochimaru as a tool to test my abilities. But everything Li Chuan showed had left a deep impression on Tsunade. If you can escape once, you are lucky. But he managed to dodge it every time, that's a sign of strength. This pervert is really hiding his strength. Stronger than Kakashi, but how much stronger? The blow he had hit me with before was at least at the level of an ordinary Chunin. I think this pervert's ability should be at the level of a top Chunin. A genius of this level, Hiruzen-sensei will not let him go. They are all power types. Why don't we wait until this kid becomes a genin and let him lead the class himself? Just as Tsunade was daydreaming. Li Chuan began to fight back. Since I can't hide it, I'll just reveal a little bit of my strength. It's just right to give some people some wrong information so that I can have peace for a while. Just use the strength you used to beat Asuma at that time. Recalling the previous feeling, he assumed a Tai Chi stance. Oh, are you finally getting serious? Inside the office, Abare Mayusho looked over. The other teachers around also looked towards the playground at this moment. The ninja school enrolls one class per year. Most of those responsible for teaching the students were J.A. nin from various families in the village, as well as a small number of ninjas from ordinary families. Many teachers are still very concerned about the genius Kakashi. This kind of genius could be a target for the family to win over in the future. Although the final result may still be a benefit to the third generation. But it's also good to make friends in advance. Then, in front of everyone, Li Chuan used a set of mysterious physical skills to fight Hotaki Kakashi. And it seemed that it had the speed advantage and approached Kakashi's body several times. However, the short sword in Kakashi's hand was glowing with light blue chakra, causing Li Chuan to withdraw his hand out of fear every time he made a move. This wonderful fight left everyone stunned. Asuma shouted even louder in the crowd. Impossible. How could Li Chuan be so powerful? Yoshu, who is this child? In the office, a teacher asked about Abare Mayuki in surprise. The worst student in this supplementary enrollment. Abare Mayuki said solemnly. No, you told me this is the worst. Yoshu, are you kidding us? This kind of physical skill is more than enough for early graduation, right? Whose child is this? Why is he hiding so well? Amid the exclamations, Abare Mayusha secretly clenched his fists. This little guy is probably still hiding. He could obviously defeat Kakashi with one strike, but he acted so exhausted, as if he was deliberately not wanting to reveal his strength. It's just as third generation said. But from the looks of it, it should be at the level of a Chunin. 5-year-old Chunin, what a terrifying talent. And he is also good at hiding himself. This little fellow will probably enter the route soon and become his colleague. On the playground. At this moment Li Chuan was already out of breath. At this point in the performance, it's time for me to lose the battle. After this performance, I think I won't be under constant surveillance until my parents come back. Then, he chopped down with his palm and knocked the short sword out of Kakashi's hand. Li Chuan collapsed to the ground due to exhaustion. The slightly flickering red light in the palm of his hand completely dissipated at this moment. And his whole body was completely soaked with sweat. The other side. Kakashi wasn't much better. The difference is that he can still stand now. Unexpectedly, I was only slightly better. It seems that what my father said was right, Li Chuan is my lifelong enemy. Brothers, please give me all kinds of data, gifts, attention, and urge me to update. Thank you. Chapter 24. After school in the afternoon, in the ninja school infirmary. Tsunade looked at Li Chuan on the bed with a half-smile and flipped through a medical book. She now suffers from hemophobia. But her habit of learning medical ninjutsu over the years made her unconsciously flip through these medical books. As for those bloody scenes, Tsunade deliberately turned them over. Little ghost, aren't you going to wake up yet? You may be able to fool others with these tricks, but it's not that easy to fool me. Lying on the white hospital bed, Li Chuan opened his eyes. Although he had anticipated this situation, he still felt a little nervous. When fighting against Kakashi, Li Chuan deliberately used his hands to make his body look exhausted. Because of the high degree of fusion, the red hand no longer needs to emit a large amount of red light to produce its effect. So at that time, he just activated the red hand in the palm of his clenched fist. In order to act more realistically, Li Chuan even let himself fall asleep due to exhaustion. If that's the case, teacher Aber Mayuki should stop staring at me. Others may have doubts. He will most likely come to check it out afterwards. But we have Tsunade, the strongest medical ninja. He's just exhausted, what could go wrong with him? Besides, this smart woman tried to contact him several times, obviously with other purposes. In this case, Tsunade is unlikely to let others know some of his information. And it seems that Aberme and Yuaki don't even know that Tsunade will be their taijutsu teacher. Then Tsunade's purpose should have nothing to do with the third generation. So after thinking about it, Li Chuan felt. Rather than letting others know that my body is strong and causing unpredictable dangers, it would be better to let Tsunade, who has some connections with me, find out. This actually has some elements of gambling. Once during this period of time, some people with bad intentions approached him. It's easy to discover the secret of his body. So he was gambling on what he knew about Tsunade's character. Also betting on Tsunade's cleverness. If he didn't know Tsunade, he might have just lay down exhausted for a while and then stood up. Now, Li Chuan has just woken up. But judging from the situation, he seemed to have won the bet. Tsunade-sama, I think you have checked my face, right? Is there anything you want to ask? Actually, I expected it. On the side, Tsunade shook her head slightly. I've been in contact with hand fighting. For some diseases, normal treatment methods cannot be so fast. Therefore, it can only be in the field of art. And I know your situation, too. Then, Tsunade began to talk about the past. Listening to Tsunade's recollections, Li Quan's impression of the third generation became even worse. So this is the reason why he was almost disfigured for life. From the perspective of the village chief, Sarutobi Hiruzen was right. But Li Chuan didn't believe it, because there wasn't even a medical ninja in the village at that time. Given the third generation status, is it difficult to recruit a medical ninja? It is very likely that the third generation felt that they were doomed to die at that time, so they did not even think of sending a medical ninja over. Perhaps by that time, Li Chuan in this world was already dead. And he traveled through time when Tsunade was treating him. Then he and the third generation already had hatred for each other. Come to think of it, I once gave you a bath when you were a child. Suddenly, Tsunade chuckled and looked at Li Quan's lower body, and said very generously. But Li Chuan was very upset. Were you not clean when you were a kid? Protecting his lower body with his hands, he looked over somewhat embarrassedly. Lady Tsunade, aren't you curious about my secret? Is curiosity useful? Tsunade put down the medical book and lifted Li Quan's chin with her index finger. "Sy kid, I'm just curious about what special ability you've awakened. Maybe it's a bloodline limit that has never existed before. But I won't force you to do anything." Releasing her fingers, she looked at the sunset outside the window. "I have my principles and bottom line. I can promise to help you keep your secret, and I can also help you hide it in front of others in the future. But I hope that one day you can tell me in person, what do you think?" Listening to Tsunade's proposal, Li Chuan fell into deep thought. Although he is a normal man, when it comes to his own interests, he will not be blinded by beauty. He was still able to control himself despite Tsunade's teasing just now. But it is said that sincerity is the ultimate skill. But what Li Chuan saw at this moment was not Tsunade's sincerity, but a policy of appeasement. Different from Orochimaru. The future fifth Hokage wanted to gain his trust by making friends. Moreover, Tsunade stated her purpose bluntly. Very smart move. Li Chuan does not object to this practice. As a person who is soft-hearted and not hard-hearted, he can accept this method which is different from Orochimaru's direct kidnapping. Okay, but it will be difficult for me to tell you my secret. With a smile, Li Chuan got up and got out of bed. After stretching his body, he checked the time. Is it 5 o'clock already? After sleeping for an hour, I can still control my hands well. By the way, Lady Tsunade, has anyone seen me while I was asleep? Don't you trust me? Or do you think I'm not smart enough? Tsunade raised her eyebrows slightly, somewhat dissatisfied with Li Quan's words. Big breasts don't necessarily mean you're stupid, you pervert, but I'm becoming more and more curious about you now. Sometimes I really doubt whether you are a child. Alas. Is it because I'm old and no longer attractive? You, a pervert, actually ignored my body. Ahem. Looking in front of him, Tsunade was holding her chest and looking at her body in confusion. Li Quan coughed violently and almost vomited. It's really fierce. This is just bullying him because he is a child now. When he grows up, the result, hey. After seeing Li Quan's performance, Tsunade smiled with satisfaction. You little pervert, I can't cure you anymore. There is still a long time to come. I have plenty of opportunities to explore your secrets. At the same time, Kakashi, who was entangled by Might Guy, finally got rid of Might Guy. Recalling the battle in the afternoon, Kakashi always felt that there was an indescribable feeling. This battle gave him the feeling that it was designed. It seemed that from the moment he took the court, he would definitely win. But his genius intuition made him feel a sense of unreality after his fight with Li Quan. I don't quite understand. Kakashi decided to seek answers from his father, Konoha White Fang Hotaki Sakumo. His father was a veteran of many battles and was even more powerful than the Konoha Sunin in Konoha village. You will definitely be able to tell yourself the answer. I just don't know if my father is at home recently. If he goes on a mission, I won't be able to see him for a long time. But after returning home, Hotaki Kakashi smiled. Pulling down his mask, he rushed towards his father and began to tell him everything that had happened in the afternoon. After listening to Kakashi's description, Hotaki Sakumo narrowed his eyes immediately. Has the talent and ability of this kid named Li Quan surpassed Kakashi? This kind of talent is probably comparable to that of the first generation. And his character is better than Kakashi's. He was afraid of exposing himself too much and attracting other people's attention, so he deliberately lost to Kakashi. What a smart kid. It's just that the village has never been stingy with talents. If you reveal your talent, wouldn't it be easier for the Hokage to notice you and train you? This is how I achieved my current success step by step, allowing myself and Kakashi to live a good life. What is this kid named Li Quan afraid of? If Li Quan knew what Hotaki Sakumo was thinking, he would definitely say, it's okay to be simple. He's been brainwashed so deeply. No wonder in the end, she even ignored her son and used suicide as a silent protest. Chapter 25. Late at night. Abare Mayuki came to the Hokage's office alone. Looking at the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen who was sitting in his seat and working, Abare Mayuki waited quietly. After a long time, Sarutobi Hiruzen put down the document in his hand. After taking a puff of his pipe, he looked at Abare Mayuki in front of him. Sun Shinishuk is a JA. Nin after all. JA. Nin is responsible for coaching the Genin team, and also has other duties. That's why he gave the task of this observation to Chonin Abare Mayuki. But it was only the first day of school, even though he had already given orders to Yosha 2 days ago. What information can be obtained from trees? He observed for a few days before he was sure that Li Quan really had hidden talent. But he really couldn't tell what kind of talent it was. As a cage-level warrior, his ability to gather intelligence can't be worse than that of Chonin Abare Mayuki. Tell me what the situation is. This. Abare Mayusha didn't know how to start. You can't say that the information given by Hokage-sama is of no reference value. Isn't this a slap in the face of this leader? Consider for a long time. Abare Mayusha then said, thanks to the arrangements made by the Hokage-sama's disciple, Tsunade-sama, my subordinates have temporarily assessed Li Quan's strength. In the afternoon, Li Quan fought with Kakashi, but was slightly inferior and lost the match. I guess he has mastered a D-level physical skill. His physical fitness is sharp and extremely strong. He can easily detect my detection bugs and destroy them. But if you can't resist the Chakra sword, you will lose the battle. Overall ability, his Taijutsu is comparable to Chonin's level, but other aspects are unknown, he is severely biased, and he still hasn't mastered Chakra. After hearing Abare Mayuki's formulaic report, the third generation, who had been somewhat indifferent, suddenly stood up. Tsunade told him yesterday that she wanted to be the Taijutsu teacher for this class of students. Out of concern for his disciple who had lost his relatives, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not refuse. So he was not surprised by Tsunade's appearance. Asuma knows D-level physical skills. Li Quan was able to defeat Asuma, and he was not surprised that he had D-rank Taijutsu. However, the fighting power displayed by Li Quan and Abare May Arisuki's evaluation of Li Quan's body were somewhat beyond his expectations. He knew how powerful the insects of the Abare May clan were. A bug that can destroy the Abare May clan, and is comparable to Chonin in terms of Taijutsu. I'm afraid this evaluation is too low. It was that D-level Taijutsu that limited Li Quan's strength. Perhaps Li Quan has reached the level to become a JA. Nin. 5-year-old JA. Nin. The future achievements are limitless. I must make sure this little guy perfectly inherits the will of fire and becomes my subordinate. Cultivate an invincible shadow-level strongman who completely obeys you. By then, the Sarutobi clan might be able to go a step further. Konoha can also rely on Li Quan to become stronger. With invincible strength to suppress it, perhaps the ninja world can be unified. As they thought about it, the third generation began to tremble. Is peaceful development what he wants? If it weren't for his lack of strength, the two ninja world wars would have dealt a heavy blow to Konoha village. How could he, Sarutobi Hiruzen, formulate a policy of rest and recuperation? His many years of career as a politician had made him a person who sought stability. But deep down in his heart, he also has ambitions. The Senju clan, which had given up 2 generations of Hokage, gradually disappeared, leaving only Tsunade, his beloved disciple. The Sarutobi clan gradually became the largest family in Konoha village. He controlled all of this in secret. However, he never mentioned these to outsiders, but did them quietly. Originally, he wanted to train his son Shinigami to become the next generation Hokage. In this way, everything he does will be inherited by someone close to him. But his son's current qualifications are not enough. And now, Hitoki Sakumo's popularity has become too great. His 3 disciples are more famous than Shinigami. Those 3 disciples were from his lineage, and Sarutobi Hiruzen was confident that he could suppress them. But I'm afraid that Hitoki Sakumo, this blockhead, will affect my plan. As for the little guy Namikaze Minato, although he has good talent, it seems that he is not as good as the little brat Li Quan. It's time to choose a new person to train. If the jade of this village is disobedient and cannot be brainwashed, then let Danzo give it to Orochimaru for experiments. When the time comes, after dealing with Hitoki Sakumo, we will continue to train Shinigami. Go down. You don't need to observe the rest in the future, so as not to alarm the little guy. Next, I will handle it myself. At the same time, Xiao returned to the Anbu base and came in front of Shimura Danzo. Master Danzo, this is the latest information collected on the ninja school. Okay, got it. Shimura Danzo nodded slightly. Turning around and picking up the scroll, he raised his eyebrows. Li Guan? Almost tied with Kakashi. This little ghost called Li Chuan seems a little too powerful, right? Do all the geniuses nowadays come from ordinary families? Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. Didn't Li Chuan fail the entrance exam? Why is he in the ninja school? This kid was admitted as a makeup student. I suspect that the delay in starting school this year is probably because of Kakashi and this guy. Xiao answered quickly. But after hearing this, Danzo frowned. Oops, it's too late. It seems that Hiruzen already knew about the peculiarity of this kid in advance. Why am I always one step behind Hiruzen? Why? When I became Hokage, I was a step slow. Now that I have met such a talented child, I am still a step behind. Talented, scheming, and good at hiding. This kid is more suitable for entering the route than that simple guy Kakashi. Go, give me all the information about this child. Yes. On the side, Xiao was waiting for orders, nodded and immediately took action. As for Shimura Danzo, he squinted his exposed single eye and looked in the direction of the village. Most of the members of the route were originally recruited by him from Anbu. However, the later members were selected by him himself in the village. In the past, Danzo would discuss many things with Sarutobi Hiruzen and then make decisions. But this guy Rijan always uses one sentence, I am the Hokage of Konoha, the leaf bathed in the Sunday. To pressure him. He was tired of hearing this sentence. If he hadn't been a step slower that time, the hypocrite Hiruzen would have stood up. The position of Hokage is his. So later on, when he did something, he would not tell his old friend Hiruzen. For example, the Sharingan in his right eye, for example, he has a secret connection with Hanzo of the Salamander. This time, Danzo had the same idea. He wants to take control of Li Chuan through his own methods. He wants Li Chuan to be the sword that will help him seize the position of Hokage. You know, the roots in the darkness underground also dream of basking in the sun one day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.